Hold on, it's connecting. Okay, we straight now. Okay, we are live. Let me just make sure you're good on this end. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna put on a video real quick to get us started.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do is send you over to this YouTube link, and you can reshare it.
How, Tanya?
What you do is when I send you the link in your Facebook Messenger, you know how to switch from the screen
Oh
to your
yeah. Okay.
texts, right?
You mean later I can reshare it?
No, now because this is I'll do it, but I don't have your people. I'll just tag you. I'm gonna go on Facebook right now, and I will tag you on this link because this is the direct link.
Whatever you could do on that end, do it
Yeah,
because I can't right
I
now.
got you. I got you.
I ain't even lying.
I got you, Auntie. So how's your day going? How's the weather in New York today?
It's good. It was good. It was good. Sunny and then
Excellent.
foggy now in New Jersey. You know I'm in New Jersey now,
Yes.
but I'm
What
always in New
part?
York.
Oh, okay.
East Orange. I always call you from New York. Oh, before we go on, don't say that Kofi is in
Wait,
Africa.
whoa. We are live. We are live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got you though.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Let me see. I'm tagging you. Nzingha. Okay. Add this link. Hold up. What is this picture? Okay. All right, I gotta fix that later. Wait a minute. Okay, so let me put on this video real quick. And so our people can see. You want to do a short introduction?
Yes, okay.
We're ready.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. My name is Nzingha Alston, and we're on the podcast of Tanya 23, The Experience. Or should I say Tanya 23 Experience? I want to say first, Habaragani to everyone. Mahunta say, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings from Tanya 23 Experience. I hope everyone had a beautiful day. I did. Did you, Tanya? Yes, and I want to pay tribute to
Yes,
some
today
of
was good.
okay.
I'm having technical difficulties, so that's why I'm trying to have you talk real quick. So I'm about to put on this video. And again, welcome to the Tiny 23 experience. Tonight we have, of course, Queen Nzingha Alston, and she's going to continue on with her community activism journey in New York. We are actually all from New York, so she has a lot of information to share with us tonight. Hold on one second. I just want to show a quick video of, oh, Auntie, describe what I'm about to put on right now.
Okay, this is the Brooklyn Academy of Music. It was Dance Africa this weekend, the Memorial Day weekend. It started, I believe, on Thursday, May 27th through Monday, May 29th. No, that's I left a few days off. Probably was May 26th to Monday, Memorial Day, May 29th. And it's called Dance Africa. I took my granddaughter on Saturday. It was quite lovely. They had dancers from the Restoration Plaza. They did the ancestral tribute with a libation and everything. That was really beautiful. And of course, they had a group from South Africa. They were wonderful. And then after the intermission, they had a group from Ghana. They were fantastic. Outside at the market, I went back on Monday, and we went to the outdoor market because I didn't get a chance to see the market vendors. So basically, they have vendors from all over. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
They have vendors from all over the diaspora. Black vendors get a chance to sell their products and vent out there. There's a lot of artwork, as you could well see in the video. And this year they had vendors from all over the world that live in Brooklyn and sometimes travel to Brooklyn to sell their food and everything. But this, yes, these are some scenes from
You can go ahead and
there.
talk while it's playing. You can talk while it's playing.
Okay, so you see artwork. Okay, let's get out of here. You might hear my voice in the background. You see people artwork. That's my son right there, Io Newton. His birthday is this month in June. Today is June 1st. It's very significant. Someone wrote me on Facebook, well, let's smile and be happy. And everything that we want to accomplish in May, but didn't. Let's say that's Charles Barron and his wife, and he has his granddaughter. I mean, I don't know if it's a granddaughter or a grandson, but his grandchild was in the carriage. He just walked by briefly. And so I'm panning the camera on African dresses and artwork and many different things that were at the festival part, the street vendors, or the vendors, I would say. A lot of people there was from the African marketplace on 116th Street, as well as places within the city that sells African clothing. And when I say the city, I mean New York City, the 5 boroughs that sell African clothing, African artwork, and many handmade items. That's beautiful. They were from South Africa, that particular group. But of course, they live in America, but they make South African attires and traditional clothing. And those are the tents in the background. My camera is going kind of quickly because I'm walking. So you see the different.
Oh man, I wish I was there to get an outfit. Oh my goodness, I would have had that dress.
Everything was quite high this year because the prices were
I'm
high.
sure. What are
Um,
your average like say for one of these dresses or something? What would the prices be?
$55 and up.
Wow. Which is not bad because you're not going to see these prints anywhere else. It's not like you'll find
Right.
something and someone else
Now,
might.
that particular vendor, she says she has a shop on 14th Street, or she vends on 14th Street
Mm,
and Union Square.
yeah, I'm definitely. Oh, look at the necklace.
Now, some of
Beautiful.
their, yeah, look at those necklaces. Some of their clothing
Ah,
was quite high because the vending space out there is very, very high.
I bet.
And now, what has changed about the Dance Africa? A lot of Europeans are running it, and they're making money off of our artwork, off of the dancers and everything, and it's just money to them. And the cultural spirit is still strong out there. Coming back from the pandemic and everything, it's very strong. And our people, we have to find a way to get more input, I would say, in BAM. I don't want to say what I really want to say over the airwaves. I'm being careful because, of course, they tune in. I think you saw my son Ayatunji there and his daughter
Hmm.
as well. But I don't want to say what I want to say. But if we are to do anything, we have to get more community control of our neighborhoods. And the neighborhood, of course, has changed. So that's why you don't see many of us behind the counters collecting money
So
at
yeah,
BAM.
yeah, I just wanted to interject right there because you said something very important. Which is why we are trying to get together on other networks and platforms that are more uh, private, so that we can actually have these conversations. There are other platforms that we could use. Um, Let me just put it out there now. I have a platform, and my website is www.tanya23.com. And I have a social media network that is connected to that website where we can have private conversations. Auntie, you actually said, and if the audience doesn't know, Queen Nzingha is actually my auntie. Yay! I'm supposed to have my sound effects ready. I'm coming to that because I really do need them. But yes, I wanted you to go ahead and continue.
Yes. Well, gentrification is the term that I would like to use. The neighborhood has went from you had it was already always predominantly white in that area. That's downtown Brooklyn, Atlantic Avenue. However, we had more Black people who lived over there. Sister Abimbola, she used to live down there, and we still have a sister, Mama Amaka. She still lives down there. You have the Fort Greene projects down there, and many different Red Hook projects is down there. You have Myrtle Avenue, where the 38 bus runs through, 52 bus runs through, the 54 bus, the 62 bus. So you have a large amount of Black people existing in that area, in the projects, in private houses. And some of them have been forced to sell because you know what else is down there? Barclays Center, famous Nets location. And people come from all over the world, of course, to go to Barclays Center on Atlantic Avenue. So everyone wants an in on the money. Our people are basically consumers. Everyone, we spend with everybody, but I would like to encourage people to buy Black and start spending with your African merchants and your merchants who were born in this country, in America, the foundational Black Americans who our ancestors built this country. It's very important to find them, seek them out, and go spend your money with them. We are the only group of people who spend our money with everybody because we make money. Don't let anybody fool you. We make money. Everyone, it's a stereotype that we get on welfare. No, a lot of us, we prefer not to get on welfare. And we make money, we work, and we now need to start pulling our money together and do something cooperatively with our economics. Like one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa says, pull your money together. So that we could teach our children, even if we start taking a small amount of youth and teach them at a community center and have books that they could study or whatever, do babysitting programs. If we could pull some of our money, because we make money, we could own a building, we could own houses. Some of us do already. We could have a cooperative economic system. So when it comes time to a program like BAM, you will see us collecting the money for the tickets. And the tickets, some of the tickets are like starting at $60. I was able to get a senior discount and my granddaughter was able to get a student discount. So we didn't pay the exorbitant amount of $60. And we sat downstairs in the orchestra section, okay? And I didn't spend over $25.
So before you even come in the door, you spent $60. The tickets were $60 to go.
Right, $60 and up, yes.
Okay. So it's like right then and there, that's going to bring out a certain crowd, those that have money. So that's a way of, kind of shifting it to where more people probably would have came, if the entrance was free and you really want to make the money. So you said, who was actually making the money from the entry tickets?
The Europeans.
Because how does that work? It's a street vending situation. So tell me how they make profit off of that.
Yes. First of all, we don't own the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Europeans own the Brooklyn Academy of Music. However, there was a struggle years ago, since it was called Dance Africa, that we had to sit down, some of the founders and some of the elders, I believe Brother Minsar Wally was involved in that, as well as some of our other elders from Restoration Plaza. Maybe you too might have been involved in it. Al Van, he was the council person at the time. I'm sure he was involved in it. Since it's Dance Africa, you have to have not only Black vendors, but you have to have Black people who could benefit from some of the profits that are collected, so that they could then in turn give that, use that money in their communities. But now how it is, it's a cultural thing. However, they want to see us dance and sing and shake our behinds and do African dances. However, who's collecting the money? Who venue is it? They're benefiting and we're not. At least before, some of the Black people who were involved, they were collecting the money. You seen their faces, and they was putting some of that money back into the Black community. Part of the street market was to help give the vendors, the Black vendors, an opportunity to sell their wares at Dance Africa, at BAM, and earn a profit during those 4 or 5 days. Yeah, now they're paying an exorbitant amount of money and they're not even breaking even, and that's sad. And that's why when we go to BAM Dance Africa, we have to pay exorbitant amount of prices to even get a bracelet or a piece of clothing. And I said, we can't have that anymore. Even if someone was telling me, well, maybe we need to protest Dance Africa.
Yes, because let me just run this video as we're talking. And to give the people an idea, to put on an event where our people can benefit, it really is a challenge. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront. To have a street level event of this size is not easy. And so we really have to support and participate. But as like Nzingha was saying, we make our money from vending, but money has already been made. So people are trying to break even at this point. You know, when they're out vending their products. And say for like someone like me, I have a natural skincare company. When it's time for me to vend, so my products are in a certain range. So say let's just use the number 23. Most of my products, I have a flat, you know, level of $23. But when it costs me $150 to $200 to get a vending space, I have to now sell at least 10 containers of my body butter before I can even say, you know, I'm making a profit. So just so you guys know, coming in, yes, we have been forced to increase our prices, and that is just to cover overhead. But, you know, we are using $55 for an African or something like that is not bad still compared to, you know, how things are going. So we are trying to keep things affordable for our people. There is a stigma that a lot of our people think that we tag on dollars and dollars when we sell things to you guys and they're a little more expensive. Yes, that is because it takes a lot for us to be able to get out there to sell our products now and keep them at decent prices. I just wanted to add that on to you. You can continue.
Right. Myself as well as my ex-husband, we were both vendors as well. We sold conscious Black books, like the Book of the Dead. They came before Columbus. Karinga books on Kwanzaa, many different books. And it's difficult, yes, but our prices were reasonable. We made profits. In those days, our rent was only like $250
compared to the $2,000 rents that are out there now. That's another subject. Right. But yeah, so we were able to keep things at an affordable price. But that same book now, you would, you know, testify that it would be significantly more. Yeah,
that's right. Race First. I think I might have bought it back in the 70s or early 80s. It was selling probably for less than $20. And now that book is a lot of money, and yes, it may have even been put out of print. But there are places that you could get it in the village, and many different places you could get that book, but you're going to pay some money for it now.
And I've noticed that the books that really have the good information, the Black books that have the information that we need for such a time as this, are severely inflated on platforms such as Amazon, what they call Barnes and Noble.
Right.
You really have to, because they are doing the printing and different things if you don't have the copies of the book yourself. So it costs the bookseller now a lot of money to even produce a small book. Now, these are heavy information books. Just imagine, you know, the cost to them now on these platforms. For instance, like I was telling you the other day about the coffin text. Yeah, this book has become, you know, it's worth thousands of dollars. And, people that actually have copies, they know that they can sell it for a lot of money. But like you said, in the libraries 10 years ago, this book was attainable, you know. But this information is, you know, resurrecting itself through us, our generation. Because I'm looking at your generation, And actually, you're at the forefront of starting the conscious community out there. It was people on the ground, 10 toes down, such as yourself, whom a lot of us, we are introducing you to the world now. But of course, you're known in your area, but you deserve to be known worldwide of how this, the people that actually started this conscious community. You have yourself, you were actually in class with Dr. Ben. So you got to sit at the feet of these people, and we are like so, astonished with them. But we have to know that we were here before, you know, in the
That's
conscious,
right.
yeah, the conscious community rose all the way up until we got knocked back down when they killed Brother Malcolm.
Yes,
I saw the spirit of the people. Yeah. Talk about that a little.
well, yes, when they killed, when they assassinated El Hajj Malik Shabazz, and we know him as Malcolm X, that was something so deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke about this last week. My Aunt Blanche was there in the audience that afternoon. She went from church, the AME church. Well, I think she belonged to a Baptist church. She went from her Baptist church over to the Audubon Ballroom. And she would do this like many of Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
All right. She would go from her Christian church over to the mosque or wherever Malcolm X was speaking to listen to him. And sometimes he was speaking on the street on 125th Street and 7th Avenue, or sometimes in front of drugstores and different places in with shoes, drugstore, different places in Harlem.
Mm.
So a lot of our elders before even I was born, she passed away at 93, Aunt Blanche, in 2020 during COVID.
Yeah.
God bless the dead.
Yes,
But
rest in peace, Auntie.
we didn't, as a result of that evening, and the police, they were raiding in New York City, they were raiding people's houses and everything. And I remember this as a young child because it was all over the radio immediately. We listened to the radio back then a lot. We had black and white TVs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we got a color TV maybe sometime in the late 60s or early, sometimes in the late 60s. Yeah, because when I went to college in 1976, we had a little color TV. So, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of painful.
Yeah.
Aunt Blanche was so scared that she, of course, told my mother. She wanted to take me. I was a little girl back then, 1965. I was born in the late 50s, so y'all could do the math. I was born in 1958 because I'm not afraid to say my age as an elder because I earned it. And not only that, I survived many different things in life, struggling with MS and many different things. So I'm happy to be alive.
Yes.
So Aunt Blanche, then, she called Mom and Dad, and she said, you know what happened to Malcolm, and we had to run. And people were falling all over each other, she said. And the police was just arresting people. And she said they killed Malcolm X. And we saw it. His wife was there. His children, he had at the time 4 children, and Dr. Betty Shabazz was pregnant with the twins.
Mm.
And tears come to my eyes now. Mm. And I can imagine what Aunt Blanche and the others were going through on that cold February 21st day, 1965. As a result, we were living all in Harlem. As a result, we all moved out of Harlem. I mean, quickly. like before that year was over, I was saying maybe within 2 or 3 months, we all just moved in different part of the Bronx. Blanche moved to the Soundview section. We moved to Caldwell Avenue in the South Bronx. Some other of our members also moved in the South Bronx. And, you know.
So as a result, we all know that it was very deliberate, but do you think that that was part of the plan, was to get people to, because they always wanted Harlem, just like now we have gentrification. That's another plan. But my thing is, back then, that's what they also did, when they assassinate the leader, the people kind of move. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, definitely. We moved in the building that, they were at the times, those buildings, 7 rooms straight in.
Mm-hmm.
They call them railroad apartments.
Okay.
And they had like maybe 2 on each floor.
Mm-hmm.
And there were railroad apartments. I don't know if Lola Morales is listening. I don't know if my Annie is listening, or anyone in our family. I want to say shout out to our family members who are listening. And I also want to say shout out to some of our African brothers and sisters who are in Ghana and Nigeria, who are tuned in. And at this time, it's like 12:30 or 1 o'clock a.m. over there. So if you're listening, the Missar family and others who are part of our family in Ghana, their Khan families.
Let them know to participate in the chat if they have anything to say. I don't see anything in the chat.
You could put your name and where you're from if you're up in Africa. Thank you for tuning in. So I want to go back to, gentrification. Definitely it has something to do with the eventual plan of getting Harlem back, getting the Bronx back, getting Brooklyn back, getting all 5 boroughs back. Definitely. When they killed Malcolm, that was the beginning of the plan. They plan long term, and we should too. We gotta, we always have to be ahead of our enemy. Also, what was going on, they flooded our areas, these urban areas, with heroin. Okay. When I was growing up, every family, including mine, had a brother or sister or mother or father who were dope addicts or alcoholics. There tends to be more alcohol liquor stores in our communities than fruit stands or a fruit store. It's very difficult even today to find decent fruit stands or fruits that are not rotten in some of the supermarkets. So we have to ask the question, why is it that you could find 2 or 3 churches, you could find 2 or 3 liquor stores if you walk through Harlem, if you walk through Brooklyn, every other corner, there's a liquor store. That's not by coincidence, it's by design. Because in the 60s, when you had people becoming aware of their Blackness and, the term, even we were called Negroes. We were called Negroes back then, and colored people. Because I remember your grandmother, my mother, standing at Alexander store on 3rd Avenue. And this white woman got in front of her, and she have all of us there, her 7 children, holding clothes and whatnot. She's tired, coming from work, and she not having it. This white woman said, "You colored people." My mother said, "Excuse me? We are Black now. We were Negroes, now we're Black, right?" And, from our people go from being called colored, then being called Negroes. Of course, we were called niggas every day. That's we just have to take that. And a lot of us protested against that. And a lot of us till today don't like to use the in term. We don't like to use use it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they made it a term of endurance and so forth. And our youth call each other the N-word, but still, if a white person call you the N-word, you're about to fight them or knock them down.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother responded to this white woman who tried to jump the line and said, "You colored people." My mom said, "Nah, we Black people now." So that was the staging of people wearing afros, people wearing traditional clothing like dashikis and gaylays. Nina Simone, she wrote that famous song, "To be young, gifted, and Black."
Yes.
It's where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Man, please. You couldn't tell us nothing.
Okay.
To be young, gifted, and Black.
Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely, precious feeling. And then Aretha Franklin, she brought that song down.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nina Simone, she didn't take any mess. Now, Nina and Malcolm X and all of them, they all lived I think they lived in Mount Vernon,
Mm-hmm.
and they visited each other's houses. The Shabazz family used to mind Nina Simone's daughter, when she was traveling. And I understand, I read some recent materials and saw some things that she was like a sister to the Shabazz sisters growing up, Nina Simone's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. Ruby Dee and R.C. Davis lived up there. In fact, when Malcolm X was assassinated and Dr. Betty Shabazz had to go to the hospital and everything and take care of a lot of business around our beloved brother, Malcolm X, it was Ruby Dee and her husband, Davis, R.C. Davis, who were taking care of the children.
Mm.
All right. So they were close knit. Before, you didn't have to hire a babysitter. You could just go to your neighbor or your cousin or whatever, and you could, people would just step in and take care of children. And it was a type of community in Harlem where if you did something wrong in your community or in your neighborhood, say you coming home from school, anyone could discipline you. Okay, and tell you to stop, or I'm gonna call your mother on the phone. Or sometimes before you got home, your mother and father already knew what you did. Okay, but you had already been disciplined and stared down by people in your community, the elders in your community. The difference is now a lot of us don't even we can't even discipline each other children. Exactly. Or will be scolded by their parents. People like me. People like me, or you might get arrested, right? People like me, I'm an educator. I take a chance. If I see something wrong, I'm going to speak on it. If the parents want to jump bad in my face or whatever, I'm going to give them a look, and I'm going to say to them, most of the time when I do discipline children in front of their parents or discipline them anyway, some of the parents say thank you. They say thank you to me. And sometimes I have gotten cursed out too, but it's okay. I could take it. It's okay. I could take it.
That's interesting that you say that, because the parent that would actually curse you out for saying something, that means that they need to be parented as well. If they don't see what you're doing right off the bat, then yeah. So we have that problem too. I want to say, like, my generation is the generation that's still from, excuse me, parents whooping your behind. Now, my children, for instance, in that generation, I want to say like the 90s. I had my first child in 1990, so that was the beginning of them starting to have this children's rights thing. But it's really just another stumbling block for the parent, because let's admit, we have some hard-headed children. We are strong people, so our children disciplinary actions are different. I think everything is different. I don't think we have the same illnesses or the same medications should be used to treat our illnesses. I think that things should be done on a cellular, racial level as far as medicine, education. We don't have the same reality as every other nationality, and they have their history and we have ours, but ours is the one that has been tainted the most. So we should have free reign of educating our children. If we don't want to send them to y'all public schools, we shouldn't have to, because as a teacher, you know, coming in that some of them curriculums, or most of them, are not set up for the predominantly black children in their school, not set up for their success.
That's right.
You as a teacher can tweak it. And I know that's how you did, what you did. You got the teaching to them somehow. You know what I'm saying? But it is not a product of no curriculum.
Right. In fact, Tanya, what I want to say is that you're absolutely right. In fact, the public school system, some of us call it here in New York, when I was in New York, some of us called it the Board of Miseducation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because when you send your children to be taught in a public school system that's predominantly white, European, they come with their stereotypes against your children and even against the teachers. When I started in 1984, of course, and even today, it's still predominantly European teachers. And some of them even said to me, they had the nerve to say to me, why don't you, and they were white, of course, why don't you just stop trying with these students and just get your check, clock in and clock out, and laugh on the way to the bank. And you know what I used to say to them? Because I had to straighten them out. I said, you know why? Because these children look like me. Okay, so I have to keep on investing myself in them, no matter how much it takes. I said, someone is going to be able to gain something from what I say, okay, or what I'm teaching. It was to a point, where I had to tell my students, every opportunity that I got, I always put something Black or African within the curriculum, because they want you to teach strictly according to the curriculum. And we were not having that. I belong to the African American Teachers Association that was started through G2AUC and Al Van, as well as a lot of other different brothers and sisters. We talked about them taking over Ocean Hill, Brownsville, and making, district office. And that was the beginning of Black teachers having a voice within the public school system. And they had boards, Black boards, that were helping out to change the curriculum in that area. Ocean Hill, Brownsville is the only district till today that has the red, the Black, and the green flag in every school in Ocean Hill, Brownsville.
Wow.
Okay. And no other district has that. And they also have the Puerto Rican flag as well, and the American flag. That's something that the African American teachers fought for. No other district, I'm telling you, I taught in many districts.
I've never
around the cities. And you don't see no red, Black, and green flag
no.
in any school or any school district. And African culture and African American culture is emphasized in those schools, but still we even have a hard time keeping it together in those schools in Ocean Hill, Brownsville, because some of our leaders, like who sat on the board, like Sonny Carson, he's now deceased. Recently, Al Van is deceased. G2AUC is now deceased. So those were the brothers and some of the sisters who were out there too. Those were the brothers and sisters who fought to keep it together. So when I came in fact, G2AUC asked me to go into teaching. He told me about it, and I believe he mentioned it to Brother Damani as well, and Sister Katura. But three of us, he asked so many people, why don't you go into teaching? They're hiring. The salary at the time, I think, was only 13,500. But we could make you could live off of that at that time in the 80s, because like I said, the rent was only $250 and less. I think my first apartment was $225 in Brooklyn, New York on Martin Street. So you could live off of that in those days. And you could even save half of your income and put it in the bank and go do something, go take a trip. You could put a down payment on a house or whatever. So bringing us back to the Ocean Hill, Brownsville area, it borderline Bedford-Stuyvesant, Canarsie. At that time, Canarsie, New York, they had a lot of race riots because that was a predominantly Italian neighborhood back then. So they didn't want, they used to bust the children into Canarsie from Bedford-Stuyvesant, Crown Heights, all over different parts of Brooklyn. And the white people over there mostly Italians, Jews and everything, they didn't want, the homeowners basically did not want Black youth, Black students in their schools. So there was a lot of race riots back then. And those began the taking over of the district office in Ocean Hill, Brownsville. We don't hardly have brave warriors like that anymore.
Right.
Imagine Black teachers, the few that they were, going to that district office and sitting in and refusing to leave until their voices are heard. They wanted the red, black, and green flag in those schools. They wanted African studies in those schools. They wanted rights for Black teachers as well as Black students. They wanted to see some Black teachers, more Black teachers in those schools to help motivate the young Black students. You see, we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't have everything that the youngsters have now. We didn't have it. So everything was mostly done by word of mouth. You had to write letters. That was very important. You had to write letters to the politicians. And back in the 60s, the politicians were predominantly white. So you could imagine Brother G2, Brother Alvan, which both men, they used to be basketball players. Both men are like 6'5" and whatnot, very statuesque Black men and young women. You could imagine them going into that district office, just showing up, but they had everything planned and organized, and then just taking it over, sitting down. We're not leaving until our demands are met. Okay. And one man that is very important in the Bedford-Stuyvesant community and the Black community, when he was younger, he came through Harlem, was Sonny Carson. Okay. He rode with the gang members when he was younger.
Yeah.
All right. He took that gang membership and turned it into something positive. Even back then when they were in gangs, they used to hold down the community. They fought each other, yes, but they also held down the community. Gangsters back then, you could go to them to get your rent paid. They even put young Black men and women through college. So that was very important.
Talk about it, Auntie, because see, we don't hear this. We don't hear this side. All we hear is the bad side.
The negative side.
Right.
All they emphasize are the stereotypes. And I want to speak especially to the young Black men who are in the audience right now. You are so beautiful. And the young sisters, you are so beautiful and great. Don't let them take that from you. The rappers, y'all have confidence. What's happening to the rappers in Atlanta is a damn shame. And that chief of police is a Black woman. They're using her to lock up a lot of the Black rappers. But one day there will be karma on her as well. Now, what I want to say to the youth, have confidence in yourself. No, we are not free. We have a lot of fighting to do. the elders before you, they fought, and you must begin to fight. Your word is very important. Don't waste it fighting each other and putting each other down and dissing each other, because when you take up a gun and kill your fellow black men or the brother or sisters, you're only doing the work of the European, okay? And each group, I want to mention, I hate them using black on black crime all the time. Each group kill each other, okay? The Italians
Yes.
kill each other. Jewish people
It
kill
happens
each other.
all over the world, yes.
All over the world. The Arabs kill each other. So each group kill each other, right? But our young men, now let's go back to the public schools. So the public schools have been used to trap. They call it the trapping system. Okay, so you get your birth certificates, they get your light and gas bill, they get your immunization card, the birth certificate, light bill, the immunization card, and then they put some records on you, okay? They call it the vital statistic records.
Yeah, the vital statistic records. That's where you have to get your birth certificate from now.
In
You
order to
no
go to a
longer
public
go down the
school,
birth street.
right?
Yeah.
In order to go to a public school, you have to give them your birth certificate. I believe you might have to show your social security card, your parents at least. You have to show that light and gas bill to show that you're in that neighborhood or that community or that district. What else? The immunizations. You know, that's another way they trap us too, because
yeah,
I believe that a lot of these immunizations are a cause of a lot of autistic children being born in our communities now.
So on YouTube, I just want to let you know when we start to talk about anything to do with the V word, yeah, they definitely kick us off and turn our channels down. So definitely code that. You could talk about it, but code it to where.
Okay, yes. So anyway, I'm gonna even get off that topic. But a lot of things have been put in our communities. I want to go back to the dope. The infiltration, it was a group, the infiltration of the Black Panthers, which came out in the 60s. James Brown was talking about, I'm black and I'm proud. So we were black and we were proud. We wore our afros. We stopped straightening our hair and we washed our hair and we put on our afros. We were braided at night and pick it in the morning, blow it out or whatever. We were proud Black people. We were reading books. That's one thing that we did. We listened to the radio and we read books. Because back then there were maybe one or two radio stations that had included some Black MCs or broadcasters. One was WBAI, and we had WBLS. And when I was growing up, raising my children, we had WLIB. It's still around.
That's interesting.
One station, WLIB, was owned by Percy Sutton, I believe. And you had, that's where Gary Bird was on that station. Tony Brown. So you had, Black historians like Dr. Ben coming on, Dr. Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, everybody and somebody who was Black were on their shows, okay? The tone back then, of course, speaking about Blackness and who you are and talking about your identity. Now, most Black broadcasters, a lot of them, with the exception of 2 or 3, are afraid to talk about loving yourself as a Black man and Black woman, as Black children. That's all watered down now. It's all, it seems like it's almost a bad word to say that you're Black, Everybody else could say,
especially around others.
Right. Everybody else could say who they are. But when we say we're Black and I'm proud, or we wear African traditional clothing, you might not have a job the next day if you do that.
Right. If you wear your traditional clothing to work,
right.
I actually experienced that.
Me as well.
But the company was an international company that actually had a lot of Africans working there. So they never said anything to me directly, but they knew that I had changed. It was just like when I started my locks. Because I worked in, I was an executive assistant for 30 plus years. So whenever I would sit in, be in an office setting or whatever, it wasn't a direct, before they would just tell you, oh, we can't have that attire or whatever. This time it's a mental trap. You
Right.
just see them starting to treat you differently.
Yes.
Or because
So
I
you're
was
not getting a promotion.
yeah, I had put it in the forefront of my mind as experimentation to closely watch the personalities of these people. Now, when I had my hair with the wig, when I wore my wigs, everything was fine. I got
Right.
treated really good by the Europeans. Soon as I started my locks, that very day, I went to work and I was looking for it and I saw it. I was watching their demeanor change from their eyes to the body functions to all of that. And the message that I received was, she knows who she is.
Right.
So now I'm a threat. And that's exactly how they treated me.
Thank you.
From
Thank
that
you.
day on.
Right.
So they know a lot about us that we don't even realize about ourselves. But the thing is, we let a lot slide now because it seems to be so much equality going on and people
So-called
fighting for
equality.
other people's equality.
Right.
But
So-called.
yes, but when you're in our skin, you see it and you cannot, avoid it. But we let too much slide now, trying to be so inclusive. See? And many will say, oh, that was back then, this is now, we're doing this and that, we're intermingling interracial marriages and But the fact of the matter is, we will never be on a level playing field. And we need to stop trying, because when you figure out who you are, your attitude changes towards that. You go to a level, coming into consciousness. And to me, consciousness is figuring out who I am. It's not a global consciousness.
Right.
When an African in America, born in America, our consciousness is different. You see, we're coming into consciousness about who we are, not about who everybody else is.
Exactly.
You see? And when you get into consciousness and you start to study all this hidden stuff that was hidden from us, you come to find out that it is all about you. And then it becomes expansive into a global thing. And then when you go into each section, you find out, they all didn't want you to figure out who you was.
Right.
Chinaman didn't want you to figure it out. The Jew man didn't want you to figure it out. The white man didn't want you to figure it out. The Spaniards didn't want you to figure it out. And when you go around the globe, but it takes some time, but all that to say, stop letting so much slide. We have to stop letting so much slide.
Exactly.
Look at, like, say, your generation and the older generation. We look at them like, oh, y'all don't talk about this and talk about that. Realize that they have. You know what I'm saying? They had their time. Because I used to think like that. Like, what's going on? Like, where did they lose the motivation? And you come to find out that, just like in your group, you guys fought for us to get into consciousness, for us to be free with our African clothes and be able to vend on the streets and have our books and different things like that and fight for equality. But now we're here. So I want to ask you, how do you really feel about that? Because to me, if I were in your position as an elder, I would be, and I am, a little perturbed about what I'm seeing now. how our sisters are carrying themselves, how our brothers are carrying themselves, and everything is just so exposed now. And I just want to ask you, as an educator, a mother, working in the community, a global person, how do you feel about the state of Black people?
I love that our youngsters are talking about this term woke, but are you really woke?
Right.
Because everybody flaunts that term in their Hoteptis and Egyptologies overnight. You're like, you could be anything on YouTube. You could be a doctor, lawyer.
Right. Say you exactly. Talk about it.
Right. So the thing is, don't just say it, be about it. Like the young people say, be about it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you got to get off that internet, off the social media. Start again meeting in smaller groups. Okay, because when you open yourself up to social media, the whole world is looking in at you, and you better believe that the police, the FBI, Facebook, how many times have you been in jail on Facebook?
Couple times.
How you have to then you have to think about
For
what your
not
right.
saying much, for
Right.
not saying much. And so, yeah, that's another shackle.
Right. You have to be very careful what you say. Of course, we have to speak in code. So sometimes I think that meetings and seeing each other eye to eye, having eye to eye contact, being able to look at each other and even not even speak sometimes. You might say something, somebody might say something, but you might not even speak. You might give each other the eye or whatever. See,
Hmm.
when you go to texting and you're commenting constantly, you don't see those human emotions. You don't know each other by eye contact. In the Panther Party, sometimes you have to be able to know each other eye to eye. You have to know who's coming to your meetings. But if you're behind a machine, behind the telephone, you don't know who's talking to you. Then you go to their profile. Some of their profiles was made up last week or yesterday. A person can put anything on their profile, all right?
Right. Right.
So you don't know if what they're telling you is true or not. People have to get back into calling each other on the phone, number one. I know we all try to avoid each other with all this texting and whatnot. However, people have to get back into going to meetings, sitting down, face to face, eye contact, smelling each other's breath.
Hmm.
We used to say sometime, a friend of mine, she passed away now, sister my love. I love her dearly. And we had like sometimes we like each other, sometimes we didn't like each other.
Hmm.
She always said she was old enough to be my mother, but she was always a little like only a few years older than me, really.
Hmm.
So, um, sometimes we used to be on maneuvers. Yeah, we had to smell each other's breath. That's how close we were sitting by each other. That's how close we were in communicating. We were all out all day, And yeah, sometimes we didn't have time to freshen up and to brush your teeth or whatever. And we just had to um, smell each other breath or body odor or whatever. And then once we got to a gas station or something, I remember one time we was traveling to Atlanta to go to an All-Stars game to try to get some money from the basketball players and whatnot to help out with the organization. And when we got to different stops and gas stations and stuff, and the restaurants, we had to then wash up and tidy ourselves up. So when we finally got to our destination of Atlanta, we look all polished and everything, you know. But on the way, you're gonna smell each other and smell each other's breath and everything. So maybe you could travel with some baby wipes or some Listerine and all that. But I say that to say this: you have to know who you are around. Some of the brothers who are into Egyptology, they have symbols, you know, their profile is a symbol of Imhotep or
Mm-hmm.
Brother Tahuti, I'm sorry, Elder Ancient Brother
Mm-hmm.
Tahuti. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna still say brother,
Yeah.
they
It's
might
all
have his
good.
statue or something. They
Mm-hmm.
might have Queen Nefertari, the sisters on their page.
That's our
Yeah,
brother Tahuti.
Tahuti, yes. They might have that symbol on their page. So on somebody's inbox, I had to ask the brother, well, I never saw you before. I said, I never saw you before. I said, can you please show me your face on the inbox? Can you please? I want to know that I'm talking to a human being. I
Mm,
want to know how you look. I don't know. You could be spurting out all this blackness and stuff, but you could be a European behind that symbol. So can I
mm,
please? I said, brother, and I said it humbly. Yes, all those symbols. I said, can I please see your face? So then he identified himself. Now, my niece,
mm-hmm.
I had the phone, I had the phone to my ear. And then
Mm-hmm.
he went on FaceTime. He said, sister, you see me? I said, oh, I'm sorry, my brother. Then I was able to look at his face. Because I was
Right,
still
right.
on the phone. Like, can you
Mm-hmm.
please show me yourself so I can see you? I was wondering maybe, I don't know, maybe I was wondering that some of them were in jail, maybe, or maybe some people have the symbol because they might have warrants or whatever, but they don't want to be seen. But then I found out that these brothers are very conscious and sisters are very conscious, the group that I joined, and that they educate through the social media.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
what I do.
yeah,
That's
I
what
do
I'm
the
moving
same too.
towards doing. But it's mainly a lot of us. Um, it's a easier reach thing because, like, say,
Right.
right where I'm at right now in the Baltimore area,
Mm-hmm.
I have to go venturing out. Well, I used to work in the city part, which was good because I would, talk to people as going out and coming in. But yeah, some of us live in areas where you don't see much of us until you move into the city. Um, but yeah, Maryland is a place where we are integrated all over, and it's the further south you go, you see that. But when I went back to New York, it actually looked the same as everywhere else. So we're integrated everywhere. The thing is,
Well, yeah, Harlem is gentrified now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Harlem looked a little different, but we're still there. But
Right.
I see the slimming, going down. So, it's like, for me individually, this is not the only thing that I do. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of things going on.
Right.
And as far as, being able to reach people, to me, being working on computers all my life, this is it, you know. Um I like to go to events and do different things like that to network with people, but like you say, it's a big pot of a lot
Yeah.
of stuff cooking. And those that magnetize towards me, those are the ones I'm working with because everybody's spewing the same thing. And how do people know who's real and who's not? So I don't put myself out there like that. I kind of, if I talk to you and you catch on to what I'm saying, then okay, then we can work
Right.
with one another.
But
But my experiences has been with our sisters is very interesting. So
yes.
I have taken the position that I am, and this is on the ground, work. And it's like I have taken a position to know that, okay, I'm gonna talk to this sister, see where her head is at, see if we can network. Because it's all about all of us. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many issues that you have to cut through to even get to that point because most of us are very, very damaged.
Definitely so.
The
Uh,
sisters in my um journey are the ones that I would say where we need to start with this healing journey. So I like activism and everything, and there's so many parts you can just jump into. But for me, I had to sit back and look at, a lot of different things. And I'm like, we're not going anywhere as a people until we start cutting through some of this personal stuff we got going on,
Right.
to why
It's
we can't have a friend or you can't, do this or that. We got to be able to come together and trust one another. So, on my end of activism, I guess you can call it, is more on a healing journey and getting people to really look at themselves, because it's not going to be a unity when all the bodies are disunity inside. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I chose to go that route because I see it in people.
Mhm.
I can pretty much do the scan. I got that gift. It runs in our family, this intuition stuff. But or knowing what to do at the right time,
Mhm.
that's helped me out immensely in life. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just want to let the sisters know, I know you're hurting, and not all of us are out there to take any kind of advantage, but we got to start somewhere,
Right. You
and
know,
we got to
I
stop
often
doing
I
that.
often comment to some sisters. I say, the queen in me sees the queen in you,
Exactly.
and I love you. I don't have a problem with that. Some of my Facebook friends probably think, well, damn, where's she coming from? I told some young brothers recently that post a lot. I said, I believe in you when they make some comments, because you could tell that some things have happened to some of them that they have experienced. Some of them have been in jail. Some of them, our people have been raped as a people, but, you know, a lot of people have been molested,
Hmm.
abused as children. Some of them have not even grown up with both parents, of course, a lot of us. Um, there's all types of mental things with us in our family. So
Before
we
you
have
can
a lot of
even,
healing to do
yes,
individually and as a people.
we got
But
to
when
love
I say
ourselves again. That's what
when
it is.
when we're in organizations, see, the media, social media is mobilization, numbers. That's what people be paying attention to. But when you're in organizations, you could then deal with all of that,
Mm-hmm.
the mental,
Right.
the abuses of us individually and as a people. You become each other family, so to
Hmm.
speak,
Right.
to deal with, the self-esteem, building up your character,
Right.
having dignity, being proud of each other.
Hmm.
Because some of our own families
Yeah.
don't even speak to each other,
Exactly.
or they might put one family member up on props and the other family members, they may not, we all have our
But the thing
individual
is, they
things.
have to realize the damage.
Right. We all
And
damaged.
when that, yeah, but you have to know you're damaged. You know what I'm saying? You have to realize it. And so, like, that's where I'm at right now with this, because I don't see it really moving anywhere until we begin to love ourselves again. If you do it to somebody in your own family, just imagine how you treat others. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
So that's why sometimes, when you join organizations, um,
They become your family.
they become your family,
Right.
and you have each other's back. That's why I
Hmm.
said, like, looking at each other with your eyes,
Hmm. Hmm.
and having that fifth eye.
Right.
We have that as a people. Someone said that I was breaking down the numbers yesterday, numerology, with the dates and stuff.
Hmm.
Who knew it better than our parents?
Exactly.
Who knew it better than grandma,
Right.
grandpa?
Right.
Who knew it more better? That's how
Mhm.
I learned about numbers, numerology, what they meant.
Yeah.
Sometimes we take our older people for granted, but if we sit and listen,
Right.
which I had to do as a child with my big mouth, unless I was going to get my butt whooped.
Mhm.
Okay, I have to sit and listen at their feet, and when they talk, you have to listen. You have to keep that.
Exactly.
They say, be quick to listen and slow to talk. So I'm a
Yes.
listener to a lot of people. I'm the ear,
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too. Me
and
too.
I also talk a lot too. I ain't gonna lie,
Yeah,
you
me
know.
too. I have to be told to be quiet because one of the things is, and someone's talking and I see a point and it's like I'm so excited and I just gotta get in there. Like, hold on.
Right. So
So, as a podcaster, I cannot be interrupting. So that I'm perfecting that.
so you know, if we sometimes sit down and listen to our elders, or if your parents are deceased, like both of mine are, and my extended father as well, and aunts and uncles and stuff, a whole generation, we don't
Yeah.
have them anymore. But you could think back to what they said to you. What
Mhm.
was important that that ancestor taught me? Sometimes you got to go back and just,
Mhm.
what did they mean by that? Sometimes when you was walking down the block
Mhm.
and, you know, grandma said, or my mother said, I'm going to fix you.
Mhm.
Huh? And you said, what? When
Mhm.
my mother ever said she was going to fix us, we would be like, Ma, please don't fix us. Because we might fall going down the steps. We might,
That's where I get it from. I listen.
that
I'm a fixer.
intuition,
Look, I'm a fixer for sure. I got that from grandma.
yeah, and I'm going to fix it
I
too.
don't play, Jack. I'm
Grandma
a
said,
fix.
I'm going to fix you. Or if I say to someone, you know what, I might not even say anything, but I
Thanks
just
so
nod my
much.
head and look at them.
Oh God.
Okay. Somebody didn't tell me later, you know what, on my way to work, I fell. Or on my way to work, guess what? Somebody said something to me and I thought about what you said, and
Mhm.
I didn't even say anything back to them, but they would then say, yeah, I'm gonna fix you. So the thing is, they knew what they were talking about.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, like with Aunt Blanche, I didn't find out later years that she was at Malcolm X, that particular day where he was assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom,
Mhm.
until I was practically in my late 30s. And
Wow.
speaking to one of my organizational members from the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement, Brother Thutmose, we called him Chief,
Mm.
Mr. Powell. And we were walking down the street and we saw Aunt Blanche. She was going to get some food. And then Brother Thutmose, I introduced him to Aunt Blanche. And, he was talking about blackness and all this. She said, hold on, brother. And she was older than him. She said, hold on. She said, I was there the night, not the night, the day that Malcolm X was assassinated. She said, just like that.
Mhm.
And I said, Aunt Blanche, you ain't never told me that. She said, you never asked. She said, you
Wow.
never asked me. And a lot of things with our grandmother and grandfather, well, you never told me that. Why? Because you never asked me. And certain things we don't even talk about anymore, because it was so painful to them that
Right.
they didn't even want to talk about it unless somebody asked them about it, or
Right.
some things they did talk about. But you wonder why they never talk about the days when there were segregated buses,
Mm.
Jim Crow. They went through all of that.
Yeah.
And they said, well, I'm dancing to James Brown right now. I'm getting funky. I'm getting down. They might say, I
Mhm.
don't want to talk about that at this time.
Mhm.
But it's certain things they would tell you, oh, I walked, um, I had a back stack. I had a potato for lunch.
Mm.
We used to have raw potatoes and we had to walk 25 miles to get to the
Right.
school.
Yeah.
It wasn't even segregated then. They would say, and our teacher was black and we sitting near us black students. We walked 25 miles to just get to a school room.
Good.
And some of
Good.
y'all don't even want to take a bus to get to school or the train.
No
You
wonder they
know,
don't want to talk about it. That is serious business there.
that
25
is serious.
miles.
25 miles. Of course, I think they was exaggerating, but I don't
And
know.
like Bill Cosby used to say, a lot of them had to make their shoes.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
and they had to take that same potato sack and make a skirt or something,
Uh-huh.
or a coat and the quilts. They had to make everything, and we
Yeah.
got away from that as a people. Sewing, crocheting, cooking
Right.
food. We order Uber.
Right. Right. Things
Everything
like
is
that.
Uber.
But yeah, I was thinking about that because all this rhetoric about hard times are coming, hard times is a coming. But yeah. So moving forward, we always gotta keep a certain amount of canned goods stocked up. I know all the vegans,
Exactly.
the organic food people, but I'm gonna tell you this: you better have a little canned goods section. You know,
Because you're gonna need it.
right. Imagine your electric goes out for a day or so. There goes all your meats and stuff in the freezer. So you got to learn how to have things in the house, rice, potatoes, different things like that, so you could still eat. A barbecue grill when that stove
Yes.
is not working or anything like that. We're people of resource. We know how to make it work,
Survive.
but when you don't have control of things like charcoal, always keep you some charcoal because you never know.
Some
You might
propane.
have to
Some propane.
grill for a week.
Right.
know,
You have to keep some propane around.
lighter
And
fluid,
those army
something.
stoves that run by propane.
Right.
You could put it inside the little stove and you could cook your pot of rice or anything on it.
Mm-hmm.
People knew how to
The
make
barbecue
fire.
grill, you can go from there.
Right.
And yeah, like
Being that
certain
we
little
just came
things.
out of the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
For maybe 2 years now, I would say.
Yeah,
And
and it
people
ain't
are
over.
getting regrouping again.
Mm-hmm.
We should have learned a lot. Those of us who have survived, we should have
Right.
learned survival skills.
Right.
Okay, during that time. I mean, if you haven't learned it, then you have a chance and an opportunity. I'm being nice. You have a chance and opportunity to learn how to survive because it's necessary.
Right. Before the next incident, let's say.
I think many of us who are still around, we knew, first of all, that we had to survive. Just admit it. You didn't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
I cursed that pandemic. I said, "You not coming in this house."
I know that's right. Same
You're
here.
not in this house. I cursed that spirit. You're not going to come in this house, and you're not get by me. And I'm not vaccinated. And I recently had many times I had some COVID tests and I was negative. So thank God for that. And I want to thank the God in me for having and the goddess in me for having enough faith to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We had boiled up turmeric, the root.
Mm-hmm.
We grind that turmeric down and ginger and pineapple skins, the pineapple itself.
Yeah, I had all that too.
We had
it up in a pot and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we had boiled up those pineapple skins and turmeric and ginger and different cloves, different herbs.
Mm-hmm.
It was all scented through the house, and we was inhaling it, and we survived. Thank to our intuition and know-how, because grandma was a herbalist, not by
teaching, but by knowing.
By knowing. I mean, she knew.
I have that. I got it in me, Auntie. Amazing.
I may not know the herb, the name of it, but I know my mother showed me how it looked. Of course, our family are from South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and we're Geechees. Aunt Annie, are you here? Yeah, I'm a Geechee. We're Geechees. And being that none of them are around anymore, we have to follow those traditions of Geechees. Certain things that we know innately. We may not be able to explain it. But when we see certain herbs, we know it.
Yeah.
That's has been passed down to us.
And I want to say, it wasn't anything that I searched. It was a DNA activation that happened within me that just went crazy from like getting my first little, it started when I got my first little $5 container of shea butter. And from there, here I go, House
Different
of Tanya 23. Oh, Auntie, I have hundreds of products. I can't even, it's so much that I can't even, advertise it all. What I was saying is, I'm more like a person call me and tell me what's going on, what they need. and I
Mm-hmm.
create the product for them.
Right.
That's a herbalist. That's ancient stuff. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? When the medicine lady, everybody came to her, to get,
Yeah,
whatever
that's
remedy.
right.
And
And
one day, yeah, when that African shea, I always give homage to the shea butter tree. I am just
mm-hmm.
at awe with that tree. But it just opened up. It activated that DNA. And,
Mm-hmm.
and and at a point in time, I'm so amazed. I'm looking at grandma's picture like, yeah, it was from you.
That's right.
What it
That's right.
was.
It definitely was. And we all have it in us. I remember when I went on a strict vegetarian diet, and if any of my college friends are out there, girl,
I have a son that did
brothers,
that too for a
I
couple
was
of
so
years. Hmm.
I was thin, and I went on a strict vegetarian diet because I didn't like the food at New York University when
Mm.
we were in the dormitories. You know, they like to have their food like the steak cooked very rare with
Rare,
blood coming
yeah.
out and stuff. I mean, it was quite everything was nutritionist, but I said I'm not going to eat the meat anymore. I'm not going to eat this food anymore. Um, they had abundance of herbal shops in the village, so I could go um, to many of the herb shops. They had vegetarian places that I could go to
Mm-hmm.
in the community, readily available, and that's what I did. I learned how to eat broccoli. I didn't like broccoli growing up. I didn't like Brussels sprouts. I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
okra. But when I went on my vegetarian crusade, I would say I loved those vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
I had to eat something, you
Yeah.
know. And they had Angelicas down there. They had so many different shops
Mm-hmm.
before there was a Whole Food, you know,
Right, right.
before there was a Trader's Joe.
Mm-hmm.
We
And
were
they are
doing these
so
things,
expensive. Oh.
right? We were doing these things back in the 70s, in the late 70s. Natural childbirth and breastfeeding. I had a brother that I used to date back in the 70s, the late 70s. He was wondering, how did I know about breastfeeding? I said, are you kidding me? I
Wow.
said, my mother breastfed us. I said, all my aunties and grandparents. I said, that's what we do. We breastfeed our children. What are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about? He
Mm-hmm.
was looking at the fact that, actually, I was the president, and y'all can laugh. I was the president of the itty bitty pity committee in, in college because I was what the brothers call flat chested. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I created the itty bitty city committee, and I was the president. Okay, that's how
Wow.
bad and bold I was.
Yeah.
Okay, you put it out there. I'm going to make something positive and make it work.
Yeah, the
A
alchemist.
couple of my friends, maybe one or two, maybe my other friends, they had big breasts and whatnot, but I didn't. It
Mm-hmm.
was okay though. I had a mind. That's what
Right.
I traded on. I had the mind.
Right.
So it was funny, but he was thinking that because you're a female and you may be flat chested, you're not going to have breast milk when you have a baby. No. And
Mm.
then he saw me walking around with all this like big breasts, like bombs. He said, so what happened? I said, first of all, I said to him, I had to become a scientist. I said, you have colostrum in your brain, and that's what controls the breast milk. And I told him, I don't know. I said, do you notice that the yellow stuff come out first? It's colostrum, and that's what builds it's in your immune system and everything. I was breaking it down to him, and I said, that's why my breasts like look like bombs now,
Mhm.
because he was like, oh, sister, what? What happened? You got shots or something? We didn't have the breast implants by then, but he thought
Right.
maybe I went to the doctor and they shot me up with hormones and stuff. I said, no, brother. I ate while I was pregnant. And as a result, I said, you build up the colostrum. It is in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes through the woman naturally in her breast. And
Mm-hmm.
that make my breast larger where I'm able to feed my son. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of my friends used to call Aya was born premature 2 months early because I had to work very hard and whatnot. He was born, I don't know what it was, but he was born 2 months early. Instead of 9 months, he was born 7 months, 4 pounds, uh, 10 ounces or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he was born at Brooklyn Hospital in Brooklyn. So, you know, we were dealing with midwives and everything back then.
Mm-hmm.
Was born in 1981, so in 1980. But even before that, we were dealing with natural healing and stuff. In
Mm-hmm.
college, I was not a lot of my friends was. They thought I was crazy and whatnot, but some of my friends were. And you know, my friend Wakiri Sana and all of us. You sister Eugenia, she was one of our midwives, Neurowana and Knockaway, and we called it I think the Whole Life Institute up in Harlem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we believed in natural healing, natural childbirth. We had the midwives back then, which y'all call probably doulas now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some
Okay.
people still say midwife, but yeah,
Yeah.
do.
And my sister, in the South, most of the children were born at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't. It's just you had midwives, and you were born at home. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because you couldn't get to the hospitals or whatever. They didn't treat us right at the hospitals. So a lot of things we got away from. Now the new generation now is getting into the vegetarianism, the natural way of healing, the
Yeah, it's a
different
cycle.
diets.
I actually see that all of everything. We have the RBG now, and then when they had the new Black Panthers, and you have this new
Mhm.
explosion with herbs, and we have the whole Teppers and the I guess that well there probably is a new wave of Nation of Islam youngsters coming through.
Right.
Yeah, I do see this cycle going back around, except for what I was gonna say earlier when I was thinking about it. I said, yeah, this is a cycle. Our people went through this before, and then we
Hmm.
got up to the point where, we got kicked down, and that was when they killed Brother Malcolm. And then for years, it seemed like a suppression. And now consciousness, I guess it actually went underground at that time.
It went
Still
underground.
going on, but it went underground. So
Right.
now we back out of the Underground Railroad, and we back, being ourselves, and learning who we are and being proud of it. Now this time we don't have a leader for them to take out. We are our own leader.
Right.
Because you have the Al Sharptons. He came out and said, oh, he was working for the CIA the whole time. So it was never about the liberation and upliftment of black people with him. And all you got the Jesse Jacksons and all of that. We're not even worried about them, because at this point we know that, it was their agenda for what they could get for them and their families. But now we're here in 2023. The whole, we're coming back into this cycle of, coming out of religion and getting back into our holistic selves. But this time, we don't have a leader for them to take out. You
They
see?
taking us out. They're taking the young
Exactly.
boys out. Because do you know how powerful a young black man is?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you know,
People
I
flock
know.
to them online. Like, pretty much
Right.
all they got to do is show up and the people are there.
I was explaining to someone, and I want to speak to the young sisters now as well, especially to the young sisters. If you have a domestic problem or you have a problem at home, and the brothers too, because people think you could just call the cops into your family
Mm-mm.
um, matters.
That makes
And
it
I'm
work.
going to say this to you. If it's not a life and death situation, because I know, families could be difficult, but if it's not
Mm-hmm.
a life and death situation, like if a person they got a gun in your face,
Mm-hmm.
those police out of your family matters, because you better believe when it comes to us, and even if they look like you, if they black officers or whatever, they're still blue. Okay, they
Mm-hmm.
represent the blue. They don't represent us. When they put on that uniform, they take an oath. and they represent the blue. Okay. Be conscious of putting police officers in your family affairs. When you call them, they come in to basically protect.
In my experience, if you call them, they come with an attitude towards you. They got an attitude with everybody when they show up.
Your family member that you're having the problem with might wind up dead, or you yourself might wind up dead.
Exactly.
Everybody might get shot up. I'm not.
These young people that's so invested in this doggone system, y'all need to take another look at it, because a lot of y'all minds is, I'm just gonna say, a lot of y'all minds is fucked up. Straight up.
Just straight up.
Got to go. Stinking thinking.
Gotta go. Now, I'm not saying that because I don't want anyone to come against you, Tanya, or against me.
I'm not worried about that, Auntie. Definitely, right. I'm good.
Comes down to, you don't
want to fuck with me.
Okay. If they're shooting, if I got to walk outside on 125th Street and they're shooting in front of me and someone is down and they're shot, oh yeah, I'm going to call the police, 911, to report that someone was shot in front of me or whatever. Oh yeah, I'm going to call 911. Mm-hmm. I seen a man on the internet, he gave CPR to a dog and saved that dog's life, right? Now, question to my people. The dog was dead and he brought the dog back through CPR, okay? By breathing, not that he really knew how to do it, but he intuitively did it and he brought that dog back to life. Question. If you saw a person on the street dying that was your color, Black, like me and you, would you then administer CPR? That's a question to our community. Would you save that person's life? Because in our communities, the police may not come fast or the ambulance. Would you do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on that individual? And that's something that we have to learn how to do, CPR. We have to do that. We have to learn how to swim. I know how to swim. Tanya, you know how to swim too.
Yeah, I know how to swim.
Okay. A lot of people in our family know how to swim. That's a necessity. You have to learn how to swim.
A lot of people don't, though.
I don't know how to swim. Our ancestors knew how to swim. They knew how to fish. They knew how to hunt. They could survive off the land. That's how they were able to escape from their so-called masters, because they knew how to survive off the land. Okay, they lived off the land. They lived off of nature. They knew what to do. We're so commercialized now. We're so commercialized. Without our products and a lot of us don't even pick up books. Nails. You go into the library. What? Yeah. What is that? Could you walk around barefooted for one day? Exactly. I know my feet will be messed up. I got tender feet. Like my heels ain't all thick like that. Right. I'll be trying to walk in the grass. I'll be like, this grass is stabbing the heck out of me. I say, man, I don't have my sneakers on. But I'm just saying that we have to get back to the basics. And what I wanted to say, we used to have study groups, and one person that, at NYU that came in our lives was Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael. And he always emphasized study groups. Now, I was in study groups even before I met him, because I belonged to the United African Youth Movement. And we used to study books. Like I said last week, they came before Columbus, Jerome Bennett's book, Ivan Van Sertima books, etc. But I wanted to get to the point that we need to start meeting again, have our little reading groups, studying and stuff. Auntie, it is so hard. It is so hard. I just want to interject. Right. Okay, but then, maybe you could go on Zoom and do it, right? Tried that. Zoom. It was popping for a while, but the ladies fell off, I must admit. Right.
It wasn't me that fell off. Every week somebody was falling off. And that's the thing.
It's
The
quite difficult.
motivation to know some shit other than what's popping on that TV and what's popping on these videos, because ain't shit popping when you don't know anything.
Right.
Or you only need enough to know to get by, but that's not cutting it now. Tried with the ladies a couple of times. They keep on falling out the group. That's
You
not
know what?
on
Well,
me.
sometimes you gotta organize,
They're
believe it or
too
not.
busy worrying about talking about what's really going on with them, and other women is in the goddamn group.
Right.
That's the
Sometimes you
problem.
gotta organize. I'm gonna say this. You gotta organize with like minds. If the brothers,
Trying.
if the brothers are organizing,
Yes,
you
they
gotta
are.
organize with the brothers.
Exactly. I'm done with that. But these are people that I actually know. Face
Right.
to face, 10 toes down.
Yeah.
Actually know their asses need to be in the group because it's some things that need to be worked out.
Yeah. But you know, you
So
can't.
not acting like it doesn't exist is not gonna get it. Like, no, I'm very volatile with this situation right now, because can't nobody heal when you are rejecting the healing. First of all, you know you need to be healed. Let's just cut the
We
bullshit.
all do. We all do. Yeah. We all do. But we pretend.
What is the problem? That's what I need to know out there. My question to you all out there is, what is the problem? Is it that you, a person that is no holds barred, is asking you to come into a group? Because first of all, you know you're not going to be able to play the games with me, because I already know. I'm a seer, you know? So the difficulty is sitting around with these ladies and they're talking about bullshit and we're not getting to the point. So me as a person, I actually have to go in and pull this out. Oh, so oh, what's going on? What have we done this week? Besides, because my thing is, in the group, we have our regular tasks or whatever. But talking about being a mom, being this and that, and then having your own goals. That's where everybody was stuck. What are your freaking goals? Is your goals to make the world a better place so your children don't have such a hard time? Is your goals, to make yourself uplifted so that you can provide better for your family? We looking for goals, but I realized I was in the group of women that had no goals. And
Well, then you gotta get away from.
approach them about, they are very rejectatory to improving themselves or having a goal. One goal. We are messed up as a people. I know we're always going to keep the motivation and all. We have to, because if we don't, it's a wrap. But it's very close to being a damn rap and ain't nobody saying nothing. Very
Well,
close.
let me interject. I had a lot of different experiences in the movement, more positive than negative. I'm saying it, I'm gonna put it out there, because we were able to study different leaders. We were in organizations like the UNIA, United Negro, I'm sorry, Improvement Association. I keep putting African. No, that didn't happen for us.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we were put out a group because we wanted African and they wanted to keep Negro, and that was rightfully theirs because the UNIA means a lot. So as young people, we had to understand that that organization still exists under the United Negro Improvement Association, Garvey's group. So the thing is, see, there's principles in different organizations and codes of ethic, and they had a constitution. These organizations had a constitution, they had bylaws, they had a code of ethics, it was a code of behavior. Garvey is one person who, man, look, the economic system. Back then, they had their own stores. They had the nursing regiment. He wanted to build a hospital. But they had the black nurses. He had the Black Star Line ships. He had a dollhouse. They had their own newspaper, their own schools,
and social clubs for those that are so social and worried about shaking their behind all day long.
Exactly. They had a store where you could go and buy your own clothing, and there were tellers and seamstresses who sold and made, Black people who sold and made those clothes, pick out the material. They were fly, as we would say. They were sharp. Okay. But that all goes back to being able to go to your weekly forum. Like people go to church, you go to your weekly forum, and that comes back from knowing how to be taught how to be a young lady, how to carry yourself. The Nation of Islam modeled themselves after the UNIA, after Garvey's organization. Okay. Practically, Wall Street modeled themselves over the UNIA economic system. That's why in 2000, the New York Times voted Garvey as the man of the century.
Wow.
A lot of people know that,
Yeah,
but go research it for yourself. People who Google, go research it.
Yeah, I
okay.
will.
My word, go and research it, because he had a economic space laid out. He had a system of principles laid out: housing, nursing, for doctors, lawyers, every aspect, you name it, he had it. Okay. And it was from our people taking the time. They didn't have the luxury of, not knowing each other face to face. They had to meet in churches. They had to meet at the meeting hall. Okay. They had to come to the weekly forums. When Mussolini wanted to attack Ethiopia, it was the UNIA who started to call for Black men to go over there to join in as an army, as a force. They was going to go over there and fight the Italians, Mussolini and them. You know what I'm saying? They signed up strong. Okay. Because they had a legionnaire. They had their own army, the UNIA. Okay. Then Carlos Cooks formed the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement, and they maintained the Black Army of Men, the Legionnaire, the Black Legionnaire. So don't tell me, young people, before there were Black Panthers, okay, the Black Panthers were self-defense. That's what we call ourselves. There was the Black Legionnaire of men, a cadre of Black strong men who were the military for our communities. Okay. That's why a lot of stuff didn't go down in the Black communities. The stuff that's going on with young Black men killing each other, if they had a strong cadre of a legionnaire that represent a Black military base, then they would be controlling their own communities. Okay. They would have their own.
What's stopping some of that? What are the laws in America that would prevent that from happening legally, to form another military?
Well, you see that Garvey was stopped before there was a Malcolm, before there was a Martin Luther King Jr. Garvey was stopped. Paul Robeson was stopped. Because they try to say that Marcus Garvey was crazy. They try to say that because he had ships that were trading between Jamaica, America, and Africa, they were trying to say, and he never made it to Africa. For all the Hoteptis that's out there, he never even went to Africa. But he talked about Blacks returning to Africa. Okay. he influenced so many African heads of states at that time, Malcolm as well. So they had to kill Malcolm. He was so strong. I mean, they didn't have to, but they did because they didn't want a strong voice like that. Can you imagine a brother coming out of jail and then becoming a Black leader? And
Many. There have been many
other
since him.
There were Black heads of states, Kwame Nkrumah, all the Black heads of states in Africa.
Even on
Malcolm X.
Yeah, even on the street level, I have seen the infiltration of regular young Black men that are teaching this information. I forget the guy's name right now, but I believe his first name is Jamal. Maybe it's Jamal. I forget the last name. But he was out here teaching conscious information, and then all of a sudden he got locked up and something, and they trying to get him out, and same kind of situation, even on like a regular. So to me, it's not a conspiracy that there is a all outright mission to literally keep people like us down. And what our people need to realize is that it exists because they're too busy trying to say it doesn't exist. I've had this conversation over and over with various brothers and sisters, and y'all all got this mentality like this is conspiracy information, or somebody's telling you something that doesn't exist until it happens to you, until they call you a Negro or that other word. You see what I'm saying? Then now you're jolted. But when your brothers and sisters are talking to you, you don't get it. That's what stumps me. What is y'all problem with that?
Now, I want to thank you, Tanya. I want to raise the point too, Segret. I'm going to call you Osset because you changed it.
Yeah, Circuit. Yeah. Right. Other one. I'm in the circuit mode right now. I feel my tail is swinging, but it's a holy swing because y'all need to get y'all shit together. Period.
Right. Now, I want to go back to how they use the public school system to track young Black men and women, and everybody for that matter. Do you see whenever there's a shooting or there's a crime, automatically they go back to the school records?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The birth certificate is there, the Social Security. They could immediately, due to modern technology now, they could have that information in a New York minute. Okay. In less than a New York minute, because now they could image you because you're all on social media. So now they could image you. They have these new technology. If you walk into a supermarket or anything, they could take group pictures and you're automatically in a database. They pull up all that information from the social media. Remember the young man from Buffalo?
Yeah, and they create a profile.
Right, they profile
that makes you look a certain way. Yeah.
So we could definitely profile, They contact your school records right away. They have the picture of you in the yearbook. Some of my sons stopped taking pictures for the yearbook. They said, Mommy, we're not taking those pictures anymore because that's how they profile young Black men. You see on TV, if a young Black man commits a crime, then they automatically have that photo from the yearbook. They have the records from the schools. Yeah. Because they actually track you.
That then becomes that book when a crime happens and they come out with the book and they start, did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do it? It's like a book or whatever. When you said that, made that spark that same thing. Like they actually have a book with the young Black men already in there from arrest or whatever. But
believe me, they do. Okay. And that's no conspiracy.
No, not at all. That's a problem.
Because the records were
like
given.
The lineup thing,
In order for you to get into a school, a public school, or any school for that matter, in New York State, because if you get funding from the federal government or from the state, the requirement is 1, immunization record and shots. 2, birth certificate, social security, gas bill, light bill. Okay. Those things are essential for you upon registration in preschool
And
and
they know who your
kindergarten.
parents are, and then they look into
Exactly.
them as well.
Thank you. And the rest is history. And
Yeah.
those records are transferred from one school to the other school, to the next school. By third grade, you know, I'm gonna say before third grade, because now youngsters are in preschool. They go at 3 years old now, and some even go a couple of months old. They go into preschool, because a lot of females, a lot of our Black women have no choice. They have to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they can't stay home with their
They don't
children,
know what happens with their babies before
right?
they
And
can
some
talk.
some
You know.
parents are now, parents. I'm saying it to you out there. You have a right to homeschool your children
Mm-hmm.
and
It is not
organize it.
illegal. You have a
Right.
right,
You have
and there are
a right
plenty
to
of
go.
curriculums out there.
Right. You have a right to homeschool your children. And there's applications for homeschooling in each school district. And people should start researching it and organizing it. Okay. And I'm speaking as an educator. I know I have done it for some of my family members. Okay. But you have to have your lesson plans and things together in
Mm-hmm.
order to get those. I'm not saying lesson plans. You have to have like the names of books that you will be using,
Mm-hmm.
the hours that you plan instruction, the field trips, whatever you want to do, you have to plan it out in an orderly fashion and present this proposal to them, and then to get your children homeschooled.
So let
A
me
lot
get
of
this
churches
straight. Let me
do
just, because
something doing it.
that's an important point, and I want you to talk about that again. So what
Mhm.
you're saying is right now, if you reside, okay, you're in New York State, so you can talk for that state, but you can inquire about this in any state that you're in. So you are not required or do not have to have your child in public schools. Just
Exactly.
to set the record straight, you
Right.
can homeschool your children. Because when you talk to people about these things, in my experience, they look at you like you have three heads and that it cannot happen, or I'm talking some sort of conspiracy. But yes, if the parent can get their curriculum, the books they're going to read, different things, the school trips, just like Queen Nzinga just said, you
Mhm.
can homeschool your children.
Right.
That is not a conspiracy.
And you yourself, in fact, don't have to be the instructor. You could name people that you want to be the instructor. Okay. Both parents don't have to be present to homeschool their children.
Because
It
the
could also be a cooperative group structure as well.
right,
There-
and the
Now,
actual instructor can instruct just like this, just like we're having this conversation. A
exactly,
school structure thing can go on right on Zoom.
exactly.
But if you have a parent that stays home all day and they're not homeschooling their children, something's wrong with that.
But I'm not going to say that something is wrong with it,
I am.
because some parents don't want to homeschool. They choose to send their children to school so that they could socialize or whatever with other children. Now, some parents choose to homeschool. Now, if you want to homeschool, it's legal in all throughout America. You could homeschool. Some parents who stay home, they have no idea that they could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And be honest with you, some parents are happy to get rid of their children and send them to school because they need their sanctuary as well. So if
So,
they're not
mhm,
into it, if they're
mhm,
not into it, then I advise them not to do it at all.
right.
Okay. But those parents who are thinking about it, and we need to think about it seriously now,
Mhm.
you have a right to homeschool your children. The government, they have a law. Your children have to be attending school in New York State is by the age of 6 or 7. I think it's really 7. Okay. Now, no one would knock on your door, ACS, or we used to call it BCW, or
Mhm.
school officials, if you are not If your children are not in school by age 7, they're going to knock on your door.
Right.
However, if you went ahead of time and you got the application for homeschooling and everything was approved, then they're not going to knock on your door because
Right.
you promised to the state, okay, I don't want my children to go to your schools. And as an alternative, I want to homeschool my children. Or a group of us are going to get a school together. We're going to have a place where we take our children, a group of us,
Mm-hmm.
to school. For example, like Uhuru Sasa came out the East program, the East movement, and they developed through educators. G2 was the headmaster. Okay, brother, I think it was Mr. Wali. He might have been he was a co-founder, I believe. And this is all documented on, if parents need to look into it more, this is all documented on the film. It's called The Sun Rises in the East. And it's now on Amazon Prime TV.
Mm-hmm.
If people just want to get an idea,
Right.
it didn't
That's
go
actually
up
good.
to high school. However, it didn't go to high school. Okay, so some of the youngsters had to go get a GED or their parents put them in high school. But by that time, baby, that they got to high school, they were ready, more than ready, educational wise, and they were more than ready and prepared socially to deal with anything that would come their way
So let me.
because they
Mm-hmm.
were Black, independent, functioning school. And unfortunately, it didn't last forever. But if people want to take a prime example and some ideas from that Uhuru Sasa being developed through the East movement, which was an independent Black movement, then they could view that film and do their research and go find out more information on homeschooling and also group developing of independent Black schools,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we did, our ancestors did back in the day. Okay, so there's so much information out there already. There was not only Uhuru Sasa, there was the Weuzi Shule, which stands for Black School. There was Shule La Mapinduzi, and then there was also, then they called it afterwards Weuzi Shule. Then they called it the Johnson Prep Institution, you know. So, and the kids, they loved it. If
Mm-hmm.
I speak to any one of
I'm
those young
sure the
people, they
children
loved
would.
it.
I'm sure. So, in my experience, what I'm seeing is that anytime I've had any interaction with the discussion, I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually talking to a parent that never finished school themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, when they're approached with the the notion that they can homeschool their children,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to work. So
Right.
now the child goes into the school of indoctrination,
Thank you.
programming, and the like. So yeah, um,
With teachers that don't look like them, by the way.
exactly.
And even if they have teachers who look like them, how are they coming presenting themselves in that classroom? And I'm gonna tell you something. Now, I started in 1984. I started in 1984. Um, and some of my colleagues started way before me. But we had to endure so much within that European system as teachers. Excuse me. Everything that we knew, we couldn't say. So sometimes I used to tell my students, when I teach you this,
Don't go home and tell your mama they're gonna call back and tell the principal.
no, I used to tell them, do not tell the other teachers what I'm teaching.
Mm.
Okay. I used to tell my students, um, You see how our classroom look? I used to give them the opportunity to bring in pictures from magazines of their favorite rap group or their favorite black person that they loved, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They could even bring a picture of their mother and father if they wanted to and put it on the wall. Because I said, this classroom belongs to you and us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is your sanctuary away from home. But don't tell them what I'm teaching you. Okay, because we're not in the curriculum. We had to hide it like that. And we belong to the African Teachers Association, African American Teachers Association. We met after school and we would discuss things in different ways of trying to get lessons into the curriculum, you know, Black lessons into the curriculum. We had a plan.
Yeah. So now here we are, right? And we talked about dealing with the parents don't have the education. So they're just navigating their way through life with whatever it is that they know. Because rarely some of them want to improve their education, but I'm just tell the truth about our people. A lot of us aren't. We're okay in the ignorant stage because as long as we have Jesus, nothing else can bother us. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Jesus ain't teaching your children ABCs and how to count. So the other day, there was an Instagram video and was going around, and it had two younger parents, and he had like a little baby, maybe one, over one or two, maybe two, no older than maybe two. And you might have seen it. She was mimicking rapping this rap song, you know. And if you listen to the rap song, it's filled with all trash lyrics.
Right. And
so I was very nice about it, but I had to put it out there. And so I remixed it and I wrote, I hope she can count to 100. Now, so I shoot it out there and I fall back and wait for the dumbass comments from the ignorant people.
Right.
Because the job is to pull them out and talk to them. So the post went pretty well. Everybody pretty much agreed, except for one person. I said, boom, fell in the trap. So now she proceeds to tell me that just because the girl is rapping a rap song doesn't mean she doesn't know how to count, and it doesn't mean that or she's showing that she has rhythm and coordination. Well, when I read that comment, I fell back and laughed in my scorpion stance, as I always do, because the Tanya 23 experience entails a tale. So, first of all, number one, we as Black people, we don't have to worry about coordination in learning lyrics. That comes naturally if you haven't figured that out yet. Number two, is that the image that you choose to show the world, knowing that we have this Black ass problem here in America? Do you think that that is the most appropriate thing to represent? Or is it because that's what everybody else is doing? Or are you trying to tell those in the age of 50 and up that this is the new world? And the children going to go to school, so that's where they learn how to count. So I asked a simple question. I wonder, does the little kid watch Gracie's Corner at any point in time? I haven't gotten any answers yet. But my thing is, that was some bullshit, number one. I pointed it out that it was. I stood by my stance, and most people agreed. So what we have to do is stop being so damn scared to tell the truth.
Definitely.
And that's what I keep running into with our people, and I'm very annoyed at that shit.
And you know what? There's going to be consequences.
For not telling the truth, you best believe there's going to be consequences.
One time, and she was a spiritual sister, and she studied Yoruba, and you know, I studied Akan, and I studied. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, we all came through Christianity. I take stuff from the Bible. I learned from Jehovah's Witnesses. I learned from anybody, so I'm not putting anybody down. However, she and I had a discussion when I was put in the rumple room, as we call it, like when teachers um they say you were bad or whatever, so you put in the rumple room. Now my badness was this, that I put some African stuff into the curriculum. And then at the time, one of my principal, who was the principal or something, didn't like what I put in my curriculum, because I didn't even have it written in my lesson plan.
Is this a Euro or another black
Yeah,
principal?
Euro.
Okay.
So then I was placed at that time, like people were placed on Facebook in jail, I was placed in the rumper room, we called it, right? And then I took a grievance against the principal. And then I was eventually let out of the rumper room, but I had to, it was like I was suspended as a teacher, okay? Say that. I was suspended for maybe a week or something. And the reason why they had to take me off suspension, because they needed people to run my program. Nobody could run it. And they had to put me back into that program. So basically the union argued that point that, well, she needs to go back to her classroom or the program that she's teaching. And you have to let her back in because no one else is going to teach it. So I was able to get back in. The point that I'm making is, yeah, sometimes you gotta stand on with your grounds.
Regardless of losing something. I mean, I know it's tough.
Right. It's tough, but sometimes, you're gonna be punished. Sometimes you have to take a stance and go by the consequences and eat it. Okay. I ate a lot of stuff. I had, like my friend said, well, you know what?
You got to choose your battles because there's so many of them,
You have to choose your battles. Definitely, you have to choose your battles. But sometimes you have to stand on something, because if you don't stand on something, you're going to go for anything. And sometimes I didn't get the promotion when I worked for private corporations. I didn't get the promotion. So what? What's better for me? Getting a promotion or being stripped of my pride and my dignity and just being denounced to nothing and just taking it. So I sometimes just took the legal, as I would say, ass whooping. However, people respected me, and having that respect meant more to me than anything else.
Right.
Okay. And that was it. And that was the end of the story. Yeah. I'm still fighting for my pension and everything. I might have to go back and buy some time from them. I might have to actually go back and teach. But now, since it's remote learning and stuff, I could do remote learning.
Right.
In a hospital or something, to students who are bedridden or who can't, they're so sick that they can't leave the hospital.
So does any of this have to do with your stance on how you did things, that you have to fight for your pension now?
Yes, and definitely people that we were meeting after school in the African American Teachers Association in Brownsville, Ocean Hill, Brownsville, I would say. Definitely. Definitely. And the people that I used to organize with, now they're ancestors, but I know they protect over me because if something went down when I worked in that particular district, Ocean Hill, Brownsville, which I only worked there for, I think, maybe 4 years, but something went down, then all I had to do is call them Well, I would call G2 and he would call Sonny Carson, and then Sonny Carson called the principal,
Right, right.
you know, and say, no, we gave a Malcolm X program and I helped organize it. Then my principal was going to say, well, you can't go, Miss Alston Newton. And he was a black man, he has to protect his school. You can't go. I need you at the school. I need you to cover classes. It's May 19th. A lot of teachers are getting ready for Memorial Day. When he said teachers, he meant the European teachers.
Mhm, mhm,
After
mhm.
after May 15th, we might not see them,
That date wasn't significant for them, the 19th,
And they started not coming in May 15th or May 10th because all the tests are over with. So they already planned their vacations and everything. That's what our
Right.
children mean to them. Okay,
Right.
they planned their vacations and everything. So they were getting early vacations before June. And a lot of them, because they were tenured, they were not going to get fired. Okay. So sometimes with certain teachers, the system cuts down after the last reading test or after the last math test. You may not see them again until maybe the first week in June or something.
Right, right.
Or you might not even see them then.
Wow.
You know, when they go on summer vacation. And in
Wow.
the schools that I worked at, sometimes some of those teachers, you didn't see them. They came in September.
So who got to teach the summer school classes?
Hmm?
Yeah. What about the summer school teachers? Were they a different
Summer
group
school
or?
teachers, most of the teachers who worked in the summer schools, they're going to show up because they need that job in the summer. So they would show up to work.
But they're a different group of teachers than the regular semester teachers.
No.
Summer school.
Well, in New York, the tenured teachers get to teach in the summer schools. So they're going to be there all year round.
Right.
They need that money to pay their mortgages or whatever. So you're going to see them. And they're going to have first priority at teaching in the summer schools.
Wow.
Most of the paraprofessionals are mostly Black, Puerto Rican and stuff. You're going to see them because they live in the community mostly, and you're going to see them. They're the teacher assistants, so you're going to see them, so. But for the major part, after 9/11, now that's another thing. After 9/11, there was a mayor named Mayor Bloomberg, because a lot of the European teachers, a lot of Europeans, then that building was destroyed, the World Trade Center. They had to go other places to look for jobs. So guess what? A call was made out for them to come into teaching. And since a lot of their aunts and uncles are already the principals, they had no problem. That's when they finally increased the teacher's salary in 2001.
Wow.
So we went from 13,000 to 500. Then we went barely to 18,000. And all of a sudden, it jumped to $45,000 to become a teacher. Still, compared to all other professions, teachers are the lowest paid. Those are the people who shape people's minds.
Right.
Okay. The teachers teach other youngsters. They teach youngsters to be doctors, lawyers, those skills, sanitation workers and everything. Everything depends on teachers, right? It's an essential force, as you could well see with the pandemic. The schools stayed open on the most part. Whether you Sonia, and then they closed down and did remote learning and stuff like that, right? Remember?
I
But those
think AI is going to change a lot of that, though. Actually, that job might be in jeopardy in a couple of years.
Oh, definitely. Because now what's going on, a lot of people are starting their own business, youngsters and stuff. The schools haven't really came back to how they were before the pandemic. The population went down. However, now, because you have the new influx of immigrants coming from Mexico, Venezuela, and other countries, right now, those are going to be the new students, especially in New York City.
And
Those are
the
the new,
Latin population. That's
right.
coming
Those
in.
are going to be the new students.
And if you don't know Spanish, I'm even considering taking a course because a couple of things I do, like I'm a notary. Listen, I need
Right.
that. Or,
You
you
know,
know, I have tools where I can translate. And I did take, believe it or not, I did take 3 to 4 years of Spanish and barely didn't remember any of that shit once I got out of school because
well,
you don't use it, you lose it. But yeah, I did take it, and I do know
right.
when you're
We had
talking
to,
about me, I can decipher the words, so don't say no crazy shit around me.
exactly. But we had to take a
'Cause I know what
language
you say.
in high school. We had to take a language in high school. That's one of the requirements to graduate from the public school system in New York State or New York City, rather, I would say. So we took Spanish. My sister and I, we both, and my brother, one of my brothers, we all speak Spanish. I know how to read and write Spanish very well, and I know how to speak Spanish. When I use it, like you said, if someone say something about me in Spanish, I know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But since we grew up in the South Bronx,
Right.
plantanos and collard greens
That's
was
right.
a mixture of the day and some rice and beans.
Okay.
We call it Hoppin' Johns or rice and peas or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they call it Spanish rice. We call it red rice, like just like the Africans call it jollof rice, you know? So the
Right.
cultures intermingled. And we had to learn Spanish. So I'm happy that I learned Spanish
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
now I could speak it, write it, and I taught it as well, and I could read it.
Yeah.
So
I have a son and
people,
a daughter that know it, and then a
you have to
son
learn
that knows
Spanish.
Japanese too.
Yeah, and Japanese. And
He taught himself that though. I sat
yeah.
right here and watched it. Yeah,
Mhm.
for a course of time, he taught
And
himself.
your son was in Japan.
He lived for 3 years.
That's right. So the thing is, you know, we're all around the world.
Things work different over there, though. I'll tell you, because for that short period of time, he actually earned a pension. So go figure.
Oh, go figure. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely different. And you see in some, I think Australia now is fighting, people who are in the streets fighting over their pensions and stuff.
Yeah. I think it was somewhere in the UK or France was lit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, England was really trying to do something with their whole retirement system, which I feel is going to swing back around to us all.
And where did they get the idea? Where do they get the idea to fight for social justice and human rights from?
Us.
Us. Because we are fighters, Black African Americans, Black people
Picketing with the picket signs and all of that. We started that, right?
We started that. Our ancestors started that. So, and we continued it. So the whole world focuses on us
all the time. Look at
all
hip
the time. There was this
actually
poem.
a religion now. It's gonna out Christianity shortly.
Right. There was this poem that this brother wrote. He was from the East, and he used to come to all the programs that we organized in NYU, the Black Student Service Center there. His name was Brother Theo, right? He wrote this poem called The Black Child. I am the Black child. All the world awaits I am the Black child. All the world awaits to see what I will be and what I will become, my destiny. You know, I used to teach that poem to my students, okay? Because it's a short poem, but it's so deep. Because it's true. All the world is watching us to see what we will be, what we would become.
So they can be.
But it's our destiny. You know, it's so funny. I walked into a store on Atlantic Avenue years ago when I was teaching at this school called Sarah J. Hill High School. And it's a Muslim community around there, you know, a lot of people who are from Palestine and mostly Arabs, right? So I walked in to buy some scarf that they were selling. So they ran up to me and said, "Are you Malcolm X's daughter?" I said, "No, no, no." They was hugging me and everything. And we had a long conversation. They wound up giving me some material free and everything, right? They said, "Oh, we admire Black people. When we was in our country," they said, "we used to look at everything on Malcolm X," they said. Everything on Martin Luther King Jr.
He was very respected.
They looked and found out they knew about hip hop, everything. I mean, you can see 50th anniversary of hip hop. Everyone is doing it. Chinese, Indians, everybody. But going back to my point, they were happy that they could be in the presence of a Black person. And I was, of course, a cultural Black person, a traditional. I'll have my head wrap and everything. And they were like so taken away with our culture. Even some of us have been so conditioned to run away from our culture, want to embrace it. But all the world is waiting to see what a Black person, especially our Black youth, will become and be, as that poem said so beautifully. All the world eyes are on us.
By the way, we're all dancers, just in case you want. All of us are magnificent dancers, all right? Most of us. I can't say all, but we got the rhythm thing down packed. So all of these dancing videos, we can move on to something else.
Definitely. So I'm saying to our young Black men and young Black women, ladies, I'm tired of seeing you, the Black young ladies twerking on a table.
Or them doggone pants that show their whole ass.
Right.
Everything. The stretch pants. That's what they
is. Right. Where is the mystery? We are people from Egypt, from Africa. We had mystery about us, secrecy. We had to meet in basements to get in America to get our freedom, to learn how to read and write.
Isn't that amazing? Now they want all our kids in their schools, but before they didn't want us to learn how to read and write.
Exactly.
And now you got Black people that will not pick up a book. To me, that's crazy right now.
That's crazy. They wouldn't even read. And in fact, I have not even to my surprise, to have my other Black people say to me, you going to the library, or why are you reading a book when you could get it read to you on the internet? But it's personal.
They don't understand when you read, that actually keeps your brain functioning. I'm running into a lot of brain dead ass people right now. And I don't think they know that they're brain dead. But you need somebody like me to tell you. You need to get some vitamins or something to clear out your brain, because brains get worms in them, just like you got to clean out your body so you don't get worms. There's a lot of people running around with parasites literally on their brain because they don't exercise it. Period.
I'm going to say something. Through white supremacy, that's a part of the brainwashing. That's a part of the indoctrination. That's what's all inclusive in white supremacy. So it's designed within that institution, or the idea of white supremacy is to condition, like there's that book that people need to get. It's about the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Yeah, I got that.
Like we're pulling each other down like crabs in the barrel, because that's what the slave master had other Black people as the overseers over us. Sankofa depicts it perfectly. You have the so-called plantation owner, the so-called white master. Then he would pick he has his children or whatever working for him. Then he would take another black person to beat over, to beat over the
Mhm.
slaves, like,
Yeah. Mhm.
that Willie Lynch person,
Yeah.
Master, this
Or
one
they call
doing
him the house Negro.
the house Negro, yeah, Master. We sick, yeah. We sick, you sick, Master? Yeah. We all sick, yeah, then we all sick. Because Master is sick or whatever, right? Some of them so-called house Negroes played along with the game, but at night they were organizing with the field so-called Negroes. They was organizing, okay, poisoning that Master
Mhm.
or doing
Some of
certain.
them are still around today, some of
Yeah,
those
that's
characters. But I mean, for instance, I think that's a perfect one for Al Sharpton. Put him in that category. It looked like he was the face of the black people, helping them with their rights and this and that. But all along, he was working for the man.
he he did wear a wire and everything. I think now with Al Sharpton, he's beginning to to see too, since they took some
It's
of his
about too late for his ass, but yeah.
right. He's beginning to see also how he has been manipulated and used against his own people. And it's hitting home, close to home for him now, And I tell you something though, and I'm gonna
I
say it.
remember his name used to ring bells, though. I seen him live a few times.
I'm gonna tell you something though. You know, I knew Al Sharpton when he had his weight on him, and then now he has his weight off of him. But he dealt with the black nutritionist who was very good to tell him how to use, eat to live and everything. And he lost a lot of weight, But hey, I'm gonna tell you something. If I'm ever struck or one of my kids go down with police brutality, yes, I will pick up the phone and call Al Sharpton.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
no doubt, I will call him.
yeah.
Okay, however, the criticism that we are giving him, is because he was manipulated and used by the system to wear wires against people in the Black Liberation Army, people who were Panthers and etc. Okay.
Well, they must have had the goods on him somehow to put him in that situation, whatever that was. But yeah, that's crazy. And if it's just coming to his realization now, that's even more interesting.
Yeah, well, um, a person could only go, he could go as far as they let him go. And when they use you up and then your paychecks,
That
the
also means that he had some sort of belief in the system.
right, the
That's
paychecks
where he
start
went wrong. Number one, yeah.
right, the paychecks start disappearing, then that's going to hit home, when they stop you from going on trips abroad and whatnot, and you're not getting paid, and you had 10 shows, now you might have 5 shows. Hey,
But it
that's going to
started out as like manipulation in a way where like how did he get in their clutches to where they could manipulate him like that? Or just like how when they were I guess approaching Martin Luther King or kept sending different people his way or whatever.
mm-hmm,
Um or whenever they said he got in a relationship with this white woman, this and that, certain people knew that they had things on him. So
mm-hmm,
then when they got you like that, they can begin to manipulate you. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
So there was something that he had done or had over his head
uh-huh.
to for him to be wearing wires and all of that. Like what was he trying to get out of, you know?
Of course. Well, you know what, there was this newspaper, I think it was called the Big Red or Big Blue or something, a Big Black newspaper, came out in Brooklyn. Oh yeah, if people want to Google something, go back there to those newspapers, because I know that, like I say, don't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe me. Don't take my word. Go do your research.
Right.
Okay, and you'll find out. But those are the papers. Blue, but it's called the big black red. No, it was called the red newspaper or the black newspaper. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. It was called the red newspaper. If someone want to write in the comment the correct name,
I can write it. What
you
is
could
it?
do so.
The red newspaper?
Yeah, or the blue newspaper was in the black communities, was a black newspaper, and they give the history behind what happened when he had to wear the wire and everything against people who were in the Black Liberation Army and the Panther Party. The name, they even named the people that he wore the wire as a part of the FBI and CIA investigation. They named those individuals that were being infiltrated because he was wearing the wire.
It's called the red newspaper.
The red newspaper or the someone could write it in the comment if they have the right
Yeah, I'm writing it now.
yeah, Google that. And you'll see they have the whole story. Those newspapers are no longer in existence, but they, once you put stuff in print, those articles are still available. So don't take my word. Go research it for yourselves, my people. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I'm actually moving towards building a small just a group where we can heal together and work on stuff. I'm still going to continue to try, you know what I'm saying? But
You have
there
to,
is a
yeah.
lot of cuz I actually have that maybe I inherited it from you, but I actually have so much love for my people. Like I love who I am. I love being black. I love my people. Even they piss me off. I understand why, but it's like now's the time we have to, as everybody wants to say, keep it real with one another.
Right. And what we have to understand that we have to humble ourselves. And what we have to understand that no one has the right answers, that no one has the blueprint. And there is a book by Amos Wilson called the Black Power Blueprint. It's out there. It's no longer in print, but you can still get it. You might have to pay a lot of money for it, but it's well worth it. We don't all have the blueprint on our Black liberation. We have to take from different historic or our stories. We have to take from different strategies. We have to take from different organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people in these organizations came from the street. So, or prison or whatever. So of course there's going to be mental issues. Of course there's going to be a lot of healing that we have to do, So a lot of people who were in the Panther Party, original Panther Party, they were youngsters. So they made mistakes, of course. Just like I made mistakes when I was growing up, and everyone does, but mistakes are going to be made, but we have to learn from these mistakes.
Right. Well, you are a teachable person. You are a learnable person and a teachable person. You have it to where you, you know, if someone's talking to you, you don't actually start having to invest in what they're saying before you just take the knowledge. And what I'm seeing is they want to take the knowledge somehow, or they're taking it but never trying to implement it. There's just like this fog with our people, and I'm trying to cut through it, but it's kind of difficult.
Right. And some people
gotta start at like, wow,
I call, some people are armchair revolutionaries. They could spit out volumes of quotes. They could spit out volumes of information. It's just a lot of rhetoric, but that may be the role that they have to play. What I would call maybe the minister of information. That's the role they might have to play of giving out information. Another person may have the role where they are not only spitting it out, but they're also implementing it. Okay, they're organizers in the way that they don't have to just quote it. You could see them actually doing the work and developing it, making that theory or that information to be, in full fruition. Like they could they're the person that may do the media work for the program, or it's a process. Everything is a process. That's why I said organization is better than mobilization, because crowds of people could get together, but are they really organized? No, they're not. It takes work to be organized. You have to, first of all, come up with a strategy of what you want to do, plan it, and then you have to write letters. You have to put stuff in writing. We used to actually mail out letters, our membership, okay? You had to mail out letters before. Now, where you have the internet, you don't have to do that. You could do emails. But I think we need to go back to also mailing out letters and do the email too. Now you could text information, 1, 2, 3, okay? Before you had to get on the phone and say, okay, the meeting is going to be such and such place, or we're going to sit down and talk about X, Y, and Z. Someone got killed in the community. Let's have a meeting tomorrow night. Where at? At the community center. Where at? At the church. Okay. A lot of meetings do take places in churches because people don't know that these are churches considered as a nonprofit organization. So a lot of them have community space for people in the community. And a lot of the state office buildings and federal buildings, because they get federal funding, and banks too now, under the law. Now, this is under the law. Under the law, they are required to give up a certain amount of community services to the community. Okay, a lot of them don't do it. But like, for instance, at the Harlem State Office Building, we had a lot of meetings there because you could get a discounted rate, or sometimes if you're on time with your organizing, you might be able to get a free room. Okay, they have to, under the law, give up some of that space. That's a law. Okay. And a lot of people don't know about, because they receive federal funding. And they said most of the organizations are non-profit organizations. And they're profit too. They make a profit. But when you receive federal funding, whether it's for housing, and a lot of these new developments that's going up receive federal money.
So you mean a school which receives federal funding, all schools? I could contact a school and let them know I need an office classroom. And like for a certain, I'd write up a schedule or whatever, but I need the space.
Right. When the school is not in section,
right,
of course, then you could rent some of that space. A state office building, not rent. You don't have to rent it.
Yeah.
You could get free a classroom.
Yeah. Because I have my 501c3.
Right. So you could. That's what it is. You could get and most teachers have a 501(c)(3) status. So when you go out, shopping, you get a lot of people don't know this. Even teachers don't know, a lot of them. You don't have to pay taxes under that 501 law.
Right.
Now they give teachers money in the budget so they could go shopping like twice a year.
So this is what we're going to do. You're dropping some jewels and some gems right now.
Mhm.
But everything in life isn't free. So we're
Even
going
free.
to have like another meeting. People want to know all this information, don't know where to get it. But like some of the tidbits, save them because the people got to put in some work to know the information. So if they want to come back into, you know, a group to talk about these different things that are available, then we'll do it like that.
Right. But even I want to point out, my niece, even with the new housing that's going up, that has exorbitant prices, requirements, like they want you to make $100,000 or $200,000 to get into most of those New York City buildings, because they receive federal money to build the building in the first place. They might be a corporation, but those buildings cost so much to build because they receive some federal housing money or grants. Under the law, they are required to set aside housing for people of lower income, like disabled people, senior citizens, people on Section 8. They have to, by law, set aside a certain amount of housing for individuals, people of color, and everything, because they receive federal funding.
Interesting.
Okay. A lot of people don't know that because most of the apartments are being warehoused right now. The landlords are holding them and not renting them out. But I do know people who were Section 8 who are in new buildings. Okay. Because it's under the law. And we better start taking advantage of it. Because the people who are getting off the bus in New York City, who don't look like us, and our foreparents fought and built this, and we fought to have this as foundational Black Americans and as foundational people. We better get hip to something. Don't be too proud to get yours.
That's right.
Because guess what? Not Mayor Bloomberg, I'm sorry, but Mayor Adams might as well be a Bloomberg, right? Mayor Adams just set aside and was on the news. Don't take my word. Go back into the newspaper, New York Times, ABC, all the media networks. Mayor Adams said that 60,000 units would be set aside for the new influx of immigrants who have claimed asylum. That word asylum, some of my African brothers and sisters who are listening, you might want to claim. Most of us don't, though, because nothing like the motherland. But some of the brothers and sisters from Africa and Haiti and stuff and Cuba, you might want to say the word asylum, because that's the new way of getting into America. That's the new way of getting housing and everything. You have certain protections under claiming that status of asylum, as opposed to anything else. It takes precedence over a lot of things, as you well can see. Even if there are existing homeless people here, or people are in a predicament where they're losing their houses or being evicted, a person who claims asylum has the same right, just as much right as a person born in that country.
Wow.
Under different laws, and we were the ones who fought for the human. It was our ancestors who fought for the federal law that Johnson signed in 1964. That came out of the voting rights and everything. See, people have to go back and examine those laws, because under those acts, even though we fought for it, a lot of us didn't read it. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us didn't read those laws,
Right.
and some of the new people know it, and their countries are telling them what to do, and they speak in code because they know each other language.
Mm-hmm.
They have a language, and we don't have a language.
Right.
We're learning about our different African languages and
And
stuff.
you have those that do know the law that is gonna
Right.
assist them, you know.
Exactly. Like the lawyers
That
and
is
legal.
definitely another conversation.
Right. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up?
I just want to say, hold fast to being confident in yourself as a Black person. Follow your intuition. The brothers out there, you see, now they pass, the young brothers and sisters, they passed that marijuana bill and everything. That's a whole nother program.
Mm-hmm.
It was, jobs was supposed to be promised to people who were convicted, right, or had felonies, and who were convicted because of selling marijuana.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now they were supposed to get those jobs, especially in New York and New Jersey and different places in
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut. Who have the jobs? Who have the jobs?
Not us, you know.
Not us.
Mm-hmm.
We now, hold on now. They were arresting young Black men and women for marijuana. Now they passed a bill to legalize it, but it has become like the numbers and everything else, liquor and everything else, a money making mechanism for America. See, we got to understand that we live in a capitalistic country, so
Mm-hmm.
everything is about money.
Mm-hmm.
Being born, dying, the food we eat, everything is political, and it's about economics and about money.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I want to advise people to do, um, save some of your money from whatever means you got it from.
Mm-hmm.
Save it, and the young rappers now have their own dispensary, marijuana
Yeah.
places and stuff. Okay,
It's hard for
so
them because you got to get a license. You got to go through the
right, have to
government
get
to
the
get that
license,
license. Yeah.
and believe me, that's very well
Yep.
organized.
Because they not trying to give it to felons and all of this and that.
But they were supposed to.
Yeah. We got, I think it
It
goes by state, but yeah, you got to check the
goes
individual.
by state to state laws, but in every state, I'm hearing the same thing. They not getting it. They're
Yeah.
not getting, and who knows how to um run that business better than
And
a lot
enough.
of young
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
who are convicted of these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to have to get some lawyers to fight for them because they don't know probably how to fight it on their own.
Right.
But they could go to the law library.
Yeah, that's true.
There's law libraries in
Information
many
is
different
available.
colleges and schools,
Yeah.
and they asked to go to those law libraries and get some information, and get the information together legally,
Yeah.
and not anything.
Many of us are victimized because we don't have knowledge of the law, and they tell you in court it's no excuse. That's a deep that's a deep
Well,
sentence there.
one thing,
Ignorance
original
of a
cancer,
law is no
right?
excuse. So don't expect me to take it as an excuse when you ignorant to this black law going down here. We don't want to hear it no more.
What's the book that they got to get, Tanya?
Which one? Out of all the books, which one?
The Black Law,
For black law?
the book that's called. It's not on Black Law. It's called. It's
Black law.
the Black Law.
Yeah, it's called the Black Law Code or something. It's an
Right.
actual thick book that the
It's
lawyers
the
use.
number one book in legal.
Yeah, it's called the Black something or other. Yeah.
Right. Covers everything.
Yep.
Basically, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it
So,
does.
in your first year of law
What
school,
is it? Strong's Book of Law? Something to that effect. Yeah.
but they could Google it. People could Google it because in the first I think in the first class of law schools, that's the book that they use.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then most lawyers are also real estate. That's, real estate is a part of learning more. One of the first classes.
Yeah.
Know this because I was going to go to law school.
Yeah, me
but,
too. I actually, I couldn't afford it, but that was my original field. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I feel it. But I'm very aware of my rights. Like even when I was a little girl, I just innately knew about certain rights that I had. You know what I mean?
things you knew about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to take anybody's ignorance as, being humbling towards it. Cause at a certain time, at a certain point in time, it's like, come on, you letting them railroad you like this? Like,
Come
no, that's not supposed to happen. This is how this, and you know what? This doggone child support court across this nation,
Right.
this doggone custody court, man, it's so much racism going on in there, man.
In Connecticut, they had a protest yesterday, because people were. It was all people were so fed up with this child because they were actually taking people. This ACS and used to be called BCW,
Mm-hmm.
and they were actually taking a lot of children from the parents
Yes.
on
And
anything.
then losing them in the system. It's 800 and some odd thousand children missing in America.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's number is now go ahead and Google and check the stats, but that is supposed to be just black children.
Alone.
2020.
2023.
2020. Since 2020, there's 800 and some odd. This is just the statistic. Since 2023, 850 something thousand black children is
Right.
missing. Something is up.
And that's not to say how many are missing who didn't make the stats.
Right. Some of them are missing through this custody when they take them, CPS and BCW and whatever, all these other agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And somebody, there's a lot of black social workers who work for ACS and BCW. Somebody within those ranks have to start talking up.
Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Because they are definitely being employed by a monstrous system. Right. I actually have a story that I'm following quite closely. Mm-hmm. And they are sending using black women, but they're signing up for the jobs or whatever, but they are going to people's homes and they're supposed to be checking on the children, but yet they're too busy asking the parents what they do for a living because that they live in is not the hood. My reply is, bitch, you did not come here to ask me none of that questions. Are you check the kids, do what you gotta do, and then get your ass up out of here. Because you didn't come here to ask me my questions. And because the person diverted it and didn't really want to answer the question or whatever, they got an attitude and went back and reported some bullshit that never even happened.
Oh, they do.
Now you got black women being a part of these systems here in United States, and you're totally indoctrinated. Now you're doing the work of them. See, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with my people,
right,
and
I'm not saying that it's
not going to sugarcoat that shit no more.
And let me say this: I'm not saying that it's every social worker. No,
not every.
That is every black woman social worker. But don't allow yourself to be manipulated into becoming their pawn, where you then compromise yourself and your people.
Soon as you take the job and sign that piece of paper that says you're employed by them, that's what you signed up for. So when we say that it's not every black person, this and that, there are certain agencies here in America that if you're black, your ass ain't got no business working there. Straight up. And if you got a problem with it, please address me and I will tell you why directly. But there are certain agencies here in this country, you have no business as a black person. Because first of all, you don't know they were set up to keep track of your black ass.
Right.
Do some history. Look into these places you claim you working for. Have some integrity. Stop working for places that's about bullshit and that's not about helping your people. You can find another job. Hell, make one. But what we first of all gotta do is stop participating in shit for a check. We used to have morality about our occupations.
Right.
But we don't have that anymore. That's a problem with liberation. Yeah, that's all. I'm done. But that's a problem with this here liberation. So you all, I better not hear no complaints from your asses. Because you got it good. You on the other side of the fence.
But look at what it's causing to our people. I mean, we're not murderers. We're not going to, I'm going to say yes. There are some people out there who need parenting skills. But I'm going to say this. Damn it. The slave masters use our breasts.
Yeah. We don't need no parenting skills from you motherfuckers. Point blank and simple. Okay?
From no damn European to tell us.
You can't teach me how to raise my goddamn child. Been there and done that.
Right. And no, what I'm saying is this, and I'm making it clear. We fed the world. We raised the world. We parent the world.
Breastfed your children, the world.
And raised them. And even now you see young Black women, they're nannies. They're taking care of these sassy behind white kids who don't even respect them. I had to tell two young white kids the other day when they was acting up. Wait a minute now. One was 2 years old and one was about 3 years old because I asked them their age. They were acting up with their nanny, right? I was on 34th Street by Penn Station. They were acting up with their nanny. She didn't know what to do. She was from the Caribbean. And she said, I keep telling them, you see how they're treating me?
They ain't know what to do.
And
see,
I said to her,
I have a hard time believing that.
Wait a minute. She said to me, because I had to say something. No, I was on Chambers Street. I had to say something. I said, stop giving her a hard time. I said it just like that. I said, you see this woman? Yeah. I said, you see this woman? She's taking care of you. You have to respect her. I said, your mama is not around. Your daddy is not around. So please respect her. And one said to me, should I say sorry? I said, I think you should. She said, I'm sorry. She said it to her nanny. She said, we was just being bad, me and my brother. The brother was in the carriage. And the other one was holding on. She said, we was just acting up. I'm sorry. She told the nanny, I'm sorry. You know, but I had to say something.
You know why you had to say something? Because that damn nanny was so darn afraid that she would not check their doggone children because she thought that she was going to lose her job. But see, when she looked like she don't know what to do.
She knew what to do.
She knew what to do, but afraid.
Afraid.
I couldn't. Well, I've been there and done that. I've watched plenty of white children when I was younger.
Right.
They acted good to me and they started treating their parents better.
Right.
But I definitely had a little process for their ass. When it was just me and them, they didn't give me no hard time. Because I just like I'm doing now, will look at them and say, get your homework done. You better have everything right. I'm gonna pop you upside your head. Something that your mama won't do because you're sitting there. I sit there and watch them, give them a hard time. Most white children give their parents a hard ass time.
Their parents too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if they don't get what they want, they can possibly kill their asses too. I've seen that too.
And bury them.
because they let them get away with whatever. They the ones that came up with the law. Oh, you can't spank your child no more. But then they approved it for the Catholics in their institutions. They just brought corporal punishment back in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can start whooping your ass again in these Catholic schools.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where you should go, because the parents, they get locked up. But see, while you're getting your ass busted and your grippers touched, you should have just listened to your own parents. Why should they have to send you to some nun school for you to get beat with a ruler? Because that's what they do. Or they make you pull your damn pants down and they whoop you there. But that's not exactly, you know, a normal thing to do. But yeah, they give them the right to chastise other people's children in a school, but will lock the parent up. See, this Catholic Church, the power that they have is another story.
All to itself. That's another.
Which is why now I have a problem. Now that I've done all my studies and my research, now I come back. What the hell are y'all doing as black people in some damn churches in 2023? Y'all can't find God nowhere else? Is that only the only place where it exists? I really want to see some comments about this, because I want to know why our people continue to latch on to some shit that has nothing to do with you. It's actually your story twisted like hell. And when somebody tell you the truth, you want to debate with them. You are actually the problem what's holding our rest of us back. That's the fucking problem. Y'all got Allah, y'all got Jesus, y'all got all of this shit. And Allah, he gets a little more respect in the black community. But all of that shit is holding us back as a people. Look at it very closely before you make your counter debate. Whenever you look outside of yourself for something that is supposed to be greater than you, you're done from there. And I'm finished. This the Tanya 23 experience, and we may end up not having that many in the chat, and we don't give a damn. But we will continue with this podcast, dropping this real science and this real talk. And I love you. I love you all. I love you so much. I can't lie no more.
I love you, my people.
Love you, Auntie. Thank you so much for coming on my show. But you know your niece. You know your niece. I don't have to hide myself from nobody.
I guess you don't have any time for question and answers, or people should write their comments in.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I don't even see any questions.
All right. Does it tell you how
they can leave them in the chat? You know, I'll shoot them over to you as they come.
Right. Are there any? Does it tell you how many people are watching right now? Some of the.
I see. Let me see. I gotta refresh my page.
Let me see if I could catch it.
See it on your end, but I don't think so.
Oh, you know what? It's 11:01 right now.
I know.
We're gonna end this right now.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at.
Do your thing, because we have some.
We're both long-winded, so I'm good. But yeah, we should end it and come back. I just wanted you to. We were doing some closing arguments and got into some more stuff to talk about. But go ahead and say your piece, and we'll be out.
Well, I just want to say, I see an optimistic future for our younger people and our people. I'm an optimist. So I believe in you. You have to believe in yourself too. I love y'all. There ain't nothing y'all could do about it. And go within, people, my people. Go within and learn about who you are. We have a glorious glorious ancestry and past. Let's do this for the sake of our future. Go ahead, Tanya.
Yes, thank you all who might see this on your journeys in the future, or the recording will be up and whatnot. But peace to everyone, and I hope that you will tune in again when we have another show and whatnot. I'm kind of filled up right now, and I'm a little bit antsy or whatever you want to call it, because I'm very powerful, and I don't want to shut shit down quite yet, but it's coming. So stay tuned for the next Tanya 23 experience. Peace to all, and good night.
And power.
Peace and power.